Oh man, Alfredo, you're so funny.
Funny. Funny how? Like, I'm a clown? I amuse you?
No, nothing like that. I don't know. Maybe you should start a podcast or something.
And start a podcast we did, and we called it Cinema Forecast, for it was good. This, of course, being Cinema Forecast. I am Alfredo, and with me, as always, my very silly, funny host, Connor.
Funny how?
Funny, like, you should start a podcast. Speaking of which, this is Cinema Forecast, the movie podcast where every month we are randomly assigned a category. Attached to said category are 4 films that we believe fit said category. And each week we go in depth talking about one of the movies in the context of the category. This month, our category has been
Mobsters, mafia.
And today we're doing Goodfellas.
That's right. One of the most classic ones, I think.
Yeah, very interesting because apparently Martin Scorsese had sworn off doing gangster movies until he got like a copy of this book before it was like published.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, he has made a lot of them, so
Yeah,
so I could see him being like, you know what, I'm done doing this. But it's funny because then
he kept doing it.
Then he kept doing it. He did like Casino, like I don't know
Right.
how many years after that, and then
Irishman, right? That's a mobster movie, I believe, right?
yeah, absolutely, and then of course The Departed as well,
Potted.
which is maybe more of like a like both sides, but definitely like feels like a gangster movie, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, friggin' Goodfellas. Real quick, just a little quick correction corner from some stuff from last episode. I called the actor for young Calogero Frank Capra. Frank Capra is the director of It's a Wonderful Life and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. The actor's name is Francis Capra. He was in Kazam. I said that he had a wild life. I just wanted to provide some context. His father was in jail most of his childhood before he eventually died in a shooting death
Oh.
in 2003. And then, yes, Francis Capra's first movie was Bronx Tale. He was discovered for that film by, I think, Robert De Niro and Chaz Palminteri.
Awesome.
As I said, we're talking about Goodfellas today. We're talking mobster movies. Quite the progression we've done here. Started off with The Godfather, did Miller's Crossing, then did A Bronx Tale, and now here we are at Goodfellas, which is maybe, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it and how it fits into the whole sort of canon, the oeuvre of gangster films. I don't know if you'd say oeuvre for a category like that, but anyway, you know, the pantheon of gangster films. But let's get into some friggin' themes.
Yeah, we got 6 of these bad boys. Number 1, corruption of the soul. Number 2, family. Number 3, paranoia. Number 4, power. 5, pride and respect. 6, a moral code. I think all of these kind of fit into this one. Moral code. Yeah, it's interesting because I would say they probably have the like the least of a moral code in this one, but it's still very much like, fits the kind of themes we've seen about respect and, not not insulting a made man, especially not killing a made man and all that.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's also the like whole thing with Paulie, because it is like these guys are sort of like on the, I don't want to say edges, but they kind of are like, doing their own thing, making their money. Whereas like the guy who's in charge does like say like, I don't want to be involved in this or don't want you doing this, going around me. And also like, paying him his due as well. I think like, again, not like a traditional moral code, but definitely like there's like the right and wrong things to do as a gangster within this world.
Yeah, and maybe paranoia might be at the most forefront from between all these movies. Like mostly kind of justified, but like Jimmy especially really going off the rails, like in the latter acts of the movie.
Yeah, for sure. Towards the end, it definitely becomes all of a sort of like paranoia spiral, and then people just acting out of paranoia and their perceived like courses of actions that other people are going to take against them.
Right. Playing like chess with shadows, kind of.
Yeah, for sure. So directed by Martin Scorsese, as we mentioned, based off of the book Wise Guy, written by Nicholas Pileggi, which is based on the life of Henry Hill, who is a mafia associate turned informant who lived in Seattle, Washington. I believe, I think at some point I know that he was up here in the Pacific Northwest.
That's
Oh,
when he was under protection.
yeah, under the Witness Protection Program. I also want to call out the cinematography is done by Michael Ballhaus, who is also the director of photography on Air Force One,
Oh,
but
funny.
also plays the cameraman in Boogie Nights.
Love it.
He's a German-born cinematographer. He's also done Quiz Show, Wild Wild West, Legend of Bagger Vance, Gangs of New York, The Departed, and many more. We didn't really shout that out on Air Force One. I think we were too busy talking about can't remember the name of the director, but anyway, very prolific
Yeah.
cinematographer.
Yeah, and he's great in Boogie Nights too, in his little part he has.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't say anything at all.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of one of the other guys then. Interesting.
I think you're thinking of Kurt.
Yeah, yeah.
No, he's literally the cameraman, like the guy who holds the
I
camera.
see. That's funny. Yeah, first time you saw this, do you remember?
No, I don't really remember. It was I don't know, probably sometime in my teens, late 20s when I first saw this. But yeah, I mean, I think I remember being like, wow, cool. I think this is definitely the one that like glorifies it the most. It's not trying to. I mean, it's like a big fall, but like
Yeah.
it is the like, and I think that's part of the reason why.
Yeah, it's definitely a cautionary tale
Yeah,
still,
for
yeah.
sure. But it's definitely the one that you watch and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like this is, with The Godfather, there's a lot of like, I don't know, but this is definitely the movie with like if you just stop it at a certain point, you're like, yeah, that's sick as fuck. Like, why don't I don't need to go to school. I'll just do that. Not that I thought that, of course, but like this one is, I think maybe not necessarily the one that romanticizes it the most, but I think it has to have that charm for the fucking come down to be as hard
Right.
as it is
Well, it's
later
very
on.
much Henry. Like even at the end, like the thing he regrets the most is that he can't keep doing this lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think really the like moral of the story is like, I mean, don't trust Irish people, only trust 100% Italian people.
That's
Otherwise
right.
you're just going to fuck up your whole operation. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I have nothing against Irish people.
Yeah, I do find that very interesting because we had that in Miller's Crossing too. This cross of Irish and Sicilian gangsters, and it's a super interesting time in history. But like it's so crazy that like that's what takes place in the 20s, right, for Miller's Crossing, and here we are in the 60s and 70s. Going into the 80s, and it's just like this development of how these different communities still kind of back each other and how they're all connected.
Yeah, for sure. Or not necessarily back each other, but how they are like opposed in some ways,
Yeah.
or how they are dubious of one another, perhaps
Yeah.
sometimes. The credits are very cool. They're like all these like
Mhm.
the credits are just like driving past you. I think this movie uses Helvetica for all like the fonts, except for like the main like Goodfellas one.
Mm.
Also, gotta say, very iconic sort of like movie poster. I feel like I've seen it a lot of places. It's a great shot of just like De Niro in the center, Liotta on the left, and Pesci on the right.
Yeah.
Good shit. Good shit.
Yeah. Fun cast too.
Yeah, for sure. And like I was writing down the sort of credits zooming by are all sort of preparing you for the fact that this is a very fast-paced movie and it is edited as such as well.
Yeah.
And I love like just at the end, this film is based on a true story. At the end of the credits, there.
Yeah. My hand was definitely sore by the end of this one. I was writing so many freaking notes, like, and sometimes I'd pause and go back a bit to try to get some extra lines and stuff. But by the end, I was like, I'm gonna let this bad boy roll.
Yeah, it's pretty chock full of stuff.
Yeah, especially because there's so much happening a lot of the times with the amount of scenes that they're cutting between while like a voiceover is giving like a whole like monologue about the state of whether it's Henry or Karen's mindset. So it's like trying to take notes of the little nuances happening in the scene while also trying to get the notes of like what they're talking about in the voiceover.
Yeah, a lot of VO over montage. Very very fun, very quick.
Yeah.
We're starting in the car. It's just the sound of the car. You get the New York 1970. You hear the sound, that kind of startles the three main characters here. And we see immediately, like I said, Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, titans of the industry. R.I.P. to Ray Liotta. Gone too soon. Fucking love that. He's awesome in this movie.
Oh yeah.
I think this might be one of the first movies we've had with him in it,
I
but
think so, yeah.
very sick. But yeah, there's They pull over to see,
Well, I
and
love all the back and forth of like, oh, must have got a flat tire.
yeah,
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 you,
yeah.
you better pull over.
And then they like realize like, no, there's no fucking way, right? And then you hear the knocking on the trunk. The guy's still alive. Joe Pesci stabs him. Bobby D shoots him, and then we get the classic line, as far back as I can remember. I wanted to be a gangster.
Yeah, you get that freeze frame.
Yeah, lots of cool freeze frames in this. And then again, this is what I'm kind of saying with the like, this is like, Calogero romanticizes Sonny's like position in the neighborhood,
In the Bronx
really,
Tale.
but like in this it is like, he just comes out and says it, like it's like one of the first like really like very clearly heard lines is like his desire to be a gangster.
Yeah, this seems like the dark path that a Bronx Tale could have taken, right? Like this is if he does get swooped up and keeps going down the same path, kind of.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to like blame his parents, but like it does feel like they're kind of overwhelmed like with how many kids they have and everything going on. So it seemed kind of easy for him to like kind of slip through the cracks, right, of
Yeah.
their like parental guidance.
Yeah, and we get another batch of credits after the freeze frame.
Yeah, and then Goodfellas is in red. I
Mm.
think that's pretty cool. And again, I think the Helvetica is cool here. Feels very sort of unique to the genre as far as a choice for a font. I feel like a lot of times you get like the sort of old-timey sort of like Godfather type vibe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then yeah, we get Henry as a kid watching the gangsters across the street, and yeah, he's just kind of romancing them, talking about how like it'd be better to be a good fellow, wise guy than it would be to be the president of the United States and all that.
Yeah, yeah. And I love how it starts with just like a close-up of his eyes,
Yeah.
which is this like sort of signal of like desire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is East New York, Brooklyn, 1955.
Yeah.
I believe this movie ends in 1980. So we're
Yeah.
spanning a 25-year period through
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, my dad was born in 1955, fun fact. Yeah, and we get a like small little introduction to some of the players we got like Tuddy and Polly, and like they're all kind of messing around each other. I like that line where he's talking about Polly and he's like, Polly didn't move for anyone. I forget the exact
Yeah,
context.
Paulie moved slow because he didn't have to move for anyone.
Oh, yeah, and he's just kind of like standing in the entryway, kind of watching them do their horseplay, and they're all like embarrassed about it. I love Polly. Polly is a very reasonable, like he was probably the only one in this movie who didn't piss me off. Like all the characters in this movie are pretty unlikable. Henry has his kind of sympathetic aspects to him, but they're all pretty terrible people.
Yeah, Henry's talking about how his family's happy that he got a job working at the cab stand. His dad was happy that he was working. His mom was happy that the Ciceros were from the same part of Sicily as her family. And he does set that up at the beginning, that his dad is from an Irish family and his mother's Sicilian. And Henry's talking about how cool it was. He's like a kid. He's getting to park their Cadillacs. And how his family is like, they think that, oh, he's just, making a little bit of money or whatever. And he's like, for me, it was definitely full time,
Yeah.
And wild to think he's like, I don't know how old he is at this point, but very, very young and like already like, involved in wanting to be part of it for forever.
Yeah, and that scene where he's confronted by his dad because he got a letter from school, and he hasn't been to school in months. And yeah, I saw a lot of parallels between this and A Bronx Tale, where it's like what you were saying, like, yeah, I don't want to blame this all on the parents either, but the loving, tender touch that Robert De Niro's character has in A Bronx Tale versus his father here, who just starts beating the shit out of him. But like similar themes of like bitterness for his son making more money than him, and like feeling and being pissed off how poor they are and all that.
Yeah, it is a very violent outburst. There's another freeze frame in this, and I think this is where he says the line, "Everybody takes a beating sometimes." I love that the solution is that they go to the mailman and they like beat the shit out of him and say, "Don't bring any more letters from the school." And then it's really great how they're like, well, no letters were coming, to the point where the mom had to go to the like post office and be like, "Can we get our fucking mail?" Right?
Yeah, it's so funny.
There's a cool little scene of Henry holding the umbrella for Tuddy, running to Polly, talking about how Paulie hates phones.
So he had a whole team that was just managing his phone calls, basically, which
Yeah,
is hilarious.
and there's a little like a sideline where Henry's saying to Tutty, "Don't get your feet wet," which I just thought was just a cute little like little flavor in the scene.
Right. Yeah, and then we get another scene where I think it's like Polly in the backyard, and he like there's
They're
a
having like a cookout.
yeah, and he's like Polly didn't talk to six guys, and it's just really funny to see like Polly sitting on one side of the yard, and then there's just like an intermediary kind of like going back and forth between the person that he's like making a deal with.
Yeah, Tutty is kind of like Polly's Jimmy Whispers
Yeah,
in a way,
yeah,
you know.
totally. The conciliary, I guess, kind of.
And we get a good line here where he says that he kind of like justifies Polly's existence.
Mhm.
He says he's like the police department for wise guys, protection for people who can't go to the cops.
Yeah, which I find very interesting, because I presume the protection is mostly from like them, like from the wise guys or other rival wise guys.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And over like a scene of Henry breaking the like car windows,
Yeah.
you hear him talking about how he didn't have to wait in line in the bakery. The neighbors didn't park in their driveway anymore, even though they didn't have a car. He says that even one day the kids in the neighborhood carried his mom's groceries all the way home out of respect.
Right. Again, reminded me of Bronx Tale.
And then you can like see how, he's becoming enamored by this. You
Yeah.
know, he's getting a lot of quote unquote respect
Yep.
from the neighborhood.
Yeah. A lot of it is about that theme pride, baby. Yeah, he also says that at 13 he had more money than everyone else in the neighborhood, basically, and all that. And yeah, just the obsession with material possessions in this movie, just always like trying to flaunt their power through whatever they can buy to show off.
Yeah, for sure. There's a very interesting scene where Henry is dealing with someone who's been shot, and he uses like 8 aprons on him. And the guy's like, "You're wasting these fucking aprons
He's
on
like,
him."
"What are you, an idiot?"
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to think about that and the way that Henry like interacts with violence throughout this movie.
Yeah.
So many scenes of him like standing in the background watching people like be violent.
Yeah, that's
But like not so much of him like participating in it.
yeah. I was gonna say that's one of as I said earlier, one of his more redeemable qualities is he seems like he's someone who really just wants to focus on the business and thinks it's a waste and dumb to like get caught up in this violence, especially with someone like Tommy who just like kills because he's slightly insecure about something.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Get some more sort of scenes. There's like a big card game, Henry like making a sandwich for someone running around. We get
Serving drinks and stuff. Right?
yeah, and I think there's a line about how it was a glorious time before a war. And this is when he first meets Jimmy Conway.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly this role was first offered to Al Pacino, but he turned it down.
Oh.
I love the scene just immediately, him just handing everyone's like money, like putting money in all their pockets. Robert De Niro didn't want to use fake money because he didn't like the way that it felt.
Oh.
So the prop master gave him $5,000 of his own money to use.
Wow.
So when they stopped filming, nobody was allowed off the set until the guy got all of his money back.
That's so funny. Yeah, I like that line. So he's throwing around hundreds to everyone. He's like, he gave one to the bartender for keeping the ice cold. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, he's the most feared guy in the city. Another great freeze frame here. They mentioned he was first locked up at 11, and he started doing hits at 16.
Yeah.
He didn't care about doing hits. He's like, whatever, I'll kill. But what he loves doing, he loves stealing.
Yeah, he has that line. Yeah, he was the type of guy who rooted for bad guys in movies. And then we see him robbing the truck. I believe this is the like cigarette carrying truck that we get after this, right? That they're selling everything from.
Yeah, I mean, you also get in the voiceover, he stole everything. People called him Jimmy the Gent. Even the drivers loved him. They would tip him off when they had like a really good like sort of like thing that they're transporting. And then what was fun here is that we get introduced to Tommy, and he's played by Joseph D'Onofrio, who plays Slick in A Bronx Tale.
Oh, I didn't realize. That's great. Yeah, we have the cops coming up to that's such a big theme across all these movies is just like how interwoven the mob is into like the justice system and the things that are supposed to be stopping them. As long as they play within that moral code of sorts where they don't push things too far, it seems like they get by pretty well just by, paying everyone off.
Yeah, and speaking of which, in the next scene we have Henry selling cigarettes and getting busted. And then, young Tommy running up to tell Tutty. We got Henry Hill in court. And then you see the sort of like the judge and the lawyer sort of like acknowledging each other, sharing a sort of like nod. And then, he gets off. Jimmy congratulates him. He gives him his graduation present. And everyone's like cheering for him. You popped your cherry. You did your first court thing. You caught your first case.
Your first pinch, I believe they keep referring to it as. I also like Jimmy's like two laws. I forget exactly how he puts it, but never rat on your friends and always keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a big thread of the movie for sure.
Now we're at the Idlewild Airport. It's 1963. Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, and they're talking about how they always robbed the airport.
Yep.
And I love how the trucker goes into the like diner. They steal the truck. He comes out, pretends to be like really like stressed out about the truck being stolen, and then lies about saying that two black guys just stole his truck. He doesn't use those words, of course, because another theme of these movies is the use of racial slurs, of course. I like very well done. You don't have to say, oh, he was in on it, but you realize like, oh, he was in on it, obviously.
Yeah. A lot of scenes at clubs. I don't know all the names of all the clubs, but we're at one of them here introducing all the mobsters. Or this might be the first like long shot we get, but like just one great one shot that's amazing as everyone comes in. I didn't get most of the gangsters' names. I'm not sure how many of them are in and out of the movie, but I did.
Frankie Carbone is in. He's part of like I think the Lufthansa like heist at some point.
Yeah. Some of them I definitely recognize throughout the movie.
Jimmy Two Times is a classic.
That's the one I wrote down.
Loves that one.
Yeah. Is he in the movie much though? Like I'm trying to. I don't know if I remember.
No, not really.
Yeah.
We do have Mike Starr playing Frenchie.
Uh-huh.
He was Frankie in Miller's Crossing.
Great.
And there's a lot of like really great sort of like camera movements, and there's like the like zooms and push-ins like to bring the characters into the action. Like you see this little as Henry goes to talk to Frenchie and Jimmy notices Henry talking to Frenchie, you get this like little push in on Jimmy and it like pushes in and then he like jumps out of his seat. Just like the friggin' the inertia, like the momentum of this movie is insane. And the way that it's just like supported by the editing and then again like the camera work is just like so wild. It feels like, especially with the turn it takes at the end where he's like selling coke, it feels like this like sort of like high pace, like it feels very like I don't know, almost to the point where you're like, okay, like can we like fucking just like slow down for like a fucking second.
Yeah.
But I think part of the reason is in the beginning here you're just trying to like set so much shit up,
Yeah, pretty common I think for these mafia movies so far where they're just like, here are all the players. I love the way The Godfather does it though, where it's just like it doesn't really have to be like this is this guy, this is this guy, this is this guy. You're just at this wedding and you just kind of meet them all naturally.
I mean, this movie is very funny. Like in this movie, like I think that works for it in all these introductions. There's all these like little snippets about the different like mobsters, and it's really just giving like a little bit more flavor very quickly. And then this is where we hear about the score on Air France, where there might be $500,000 that they're going to steal. Next scene is the Tommy telling the story, the classic, like, funny how, what do you mean? Classic. Always love that one. Always thought it was very funny, but I also love the, like, quick turn of the tension.
Yeah.
This scene apparently based off of a real life experience that Joe Pesci had working at a restaurant where he told a, like, mobster that he thought he was funny.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And he told Martin Scorsese, and Martin Scorsese was like, "Let's throw that in there."
That's amazing. Yeah, I love the way Henry like responds to the threat. Like you could tell he's scared, but he's also like trying to like gauge Tommy and like laugh it off. And then after like he's like, "Oh, you're fucking with me," and they start laughing off. He keeps bringing it up, and you can tell it's actually pissing off Tommy. Like he pulls out his gun at one point, and he's still joking around, but like Tommy is just such a chaotic monster throughout this whole movie.
Absolutely.
Always waiting to explode.
Another part that I think is a very classic of the scene is the way that Ray Liotta laughs. It's always been something that stuck out in my head. He just like he seems kind of ghoulish, like the way he like opens his mouth. Very funny. I think there's some people who made like videos where like they just they just like isolate that, and I think
Yeah.
it's been used for like memes as well, but
Yeah,
very very
it,
funny.
it it almost sounds forced to an extent, and I think that fits well with Henry's character, where he's kind of trying to always fit in and be, cordial with all these guys who are extremely hard to be cordial with. And before this, there was that line from Henry, where he's talking about, like, just giving a monologue, and he says, people who worry about bills are suckers with no balls, basically. And again, just like super strong tie-in for me with the Bronx Tale of, the working man has no balls and is suckers, basically. Which is like, yeah, the hell all these guys are trying to escape is just like having to worry about your bills, basically.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they're also like a lot of them come from. I don't think either of us could really relate to the sort of like situations that they grew up in at all. Like, I think both of us had comfortable childhoods where, like, it's. I have no idea what it's like not knowing like if you're going to eat or
Yeah.
not like one day, right? So I think there's that aspect, which I think is like maybe the most like shown in like A Bronx Tale of
Yeah.
all the movies.
Because, yeah, I don't really get the sense, like, they're definitely, like, lower class Henry's family, but it doesn't feel to me like they're, like, barely getting by.
I mean, I think that's because that's not the emphasis of the movie, but I think that's definitely one of the parts of what is so appealing about the like like a life of crime. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of these people aren't going to be able to like go to college or do anything like that, so it's like, I don't know, find a trade or do some sort of like manual labor, and to
Yeah.
them I think it's much more appealing to do something like this. So I think, to simplify it to the point of saying like all they're trying to escape is like their bills, I don't know about that so much. I get the point though, because like there's honest work that can be done, but again, I think none of the movies really hit on like poverty as like a major like sort of like theme or motivator for it, but just want to acknowledge that that's definitely something that's there.
Sure, for sure. Yeah, I don't deny that. I think that's always, like, tied into these themes, but so much of it is just this thirst for power, and when does that come? I don't know, but it seems, like, at least between this and A Bronx Tale, a lot of it is just watching the guys in the neighborhood who have all the authority and power, and they're like, I want to be like that.
Yeah, for sure, but also contrasted to like someone like living like an honest life and
Yeah.
barely making it by.
Yeah, totally.
The bar owner, it's a very cool little like, oh, I'm funny, how blah, oh, we're all laughing, like it got really tense, and then suddenly it's like, oh, the server doesn't want to come over and drop off the tab because Tommy owes like $5,000.
Yeah, I think
And
7,000.
like, so the bar owner comes over and he's like, hey, like blah blah, and of course Tommy just fucking starts
Smashes
beating
a
the
bottle
shit out
on
of
his
him.
head,
Yeah.
And yeah, it had the way everyone laughs after he smashes the bottle on his head. There's such a like the way that like violence is just like so amusing to all of them in this movie is so disturbing to me, but like usually I feel like there's this tone of like, well, they're not going to like give Tommy shit for it, so all they can do is laugh. Like, I can't ever tell exactly like how on board everyone is versus just like, oh god, Tommy, you're scary.
Yeah, for sure. Sonny is the bar owner. In the next scene, he's complaining to Polly about Tommy. And Polly, I think, even says, well, Hank is like, tell Sonny, tell him what we've been talking about. Basically, the pitch is Sonny's like, Polly, come in like on the restaurant with me. And there's this very tense sort of part where, Sonny's like, fucking Tommy. And Polly's like, what do you want me to do? You want me to shoot him? And Sonny says, it wouldn't be a bad idea. And then he immediately is like, oh, I'm
The way
so sorry.
Polly glares at him
Yeah.
is so good. He doesn't have to say anything.
And then Polly begrudgingly accepts being Sonny's partner. And we see how quickly, I imagine, Sonny regrets that, because Hank runs it all down, They basically just squeeze the place for every last penny it's worth. And then they fucking, they have Sonny signing all the documents, probably for like the insurance.
I like that. It's just like, damn shame or whatever.
Yeah, notice Sonny signing those documents with the left hand. Then Hank and Tommy setting everything up to all the to burn it down. And then I love them outside the car, just like
Yeah.
sort of arguing about this like date, right? That's eventually going to set up Henry meeting Karen, but like they
I
don't
didn't
even
really get
notice.
why he's such a dick about this. Where he's just asking him for a favor to go on a double date, and like before he even starts talking, he's like, "Oh God, what is it?" And then just like denies every step of the way, just not saying a word at the
I mean,
date or
he's
anything.
busy making money, you know.
I
I
guess
mean,
so, yeah.
who knows? People are all up their own ass. But to the point where like they don't even notice that like it starts like the like building actually like catches fire.
Yeah, that part was really funny. Yeah, a lot of good, just like subtle comedy throughout the movie.
And I like that the reasoning for the double date is that the girl doesn't want to go out with an Italian guy on her own.
Yeah,
Very funny. But
yeah,
yeah, we like you said, we've got the double date. He's just like ignoring her completely. He just like he has like this meeting he has to go to, so I thought that he was just gonna like peace out of the restaurant. It's very funny how they're still following these sort of like courting norms. So he gets her in a car, takes her all the way home, and just like the way that it's edited, and you see him just like dragging her, you know.
up to her house, and
Yeah.
then just kind of like pushes her off to go home.
They promise to meet again on Friday night. He stands her up,
Yeah,
but Karen makes Tommy take her to him, and I love that this is the moment that he decides he likes her. Is
Yeah.
when she starts yelling at him.
he likes the fire. Yeah, they
Yeah.
both are kind of like this toxic attraction to each other.
Yeah, for sure. I imagine it's because it reminds him of what it was like being at home. You know,
Yeah,
being yelled at.
yeah. We also get Karen's first voiceover,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like a duet between her and Henry throughout the movie with the voiceover lines. But yeah, her just being like, "I didn't like him at all," and then like slowly getting into like, "Okay, yeah, he's kind of hot."
Yeah. I like him coming up to the door. They're going on a date. She tells him to cover the cross, and you hear the mom say, "Oh, I heard you're half Jewish." And it's just like just the good half.
Yeah, good line.
Again, kind of like tapping into like, you know, this is the '60s, and this is people still very concerned about like, you know, to quote Lorenzo, marrying within their own. You know, like even if you can just sneak a half in there, you know, people are okay with that.
Yeah, very funny.
And this is a great like sort of scene showing, because we've seen like, yeah, he's got money and stuff, but just like the amount of influence, the way he leaves his car, and she's like, "You're just gonna leave your car with that guy," and the way they go in through the other entrance, and I love the way he's like sort of like, "Oh, I like going in this way, you know, it's faster." He's never like outwardly boastful of like, "Yeah, you know, I'm a big deal around here, like I'm involved in illicit activities, that's why I can do whatever I want." He's just kind of like a
Yeah.
little like nonchalant about it.
Yeah, it sets him up just how comfortable he is in this world, and now the respect. He knows what she's going to see. He doesn't have to boast. He can just let his lifestyle speak for itself.
Yeah.
And this is like one of the most iconic one shots in like cinema. This whole walking through the club and going through the hallways and the back kitchen into the club. It's
I
such a good
noticed when they
setup.
walk into the kitchen, I was tracking it. They walk into the kitchen, they take a left, they go right, and then they go right again, and then they go right, and they end up like they literally go in a circle at one point,
Interesting.
and then end up going like left to go into the restaurant. And then of course, you know, he's just greasing palms left and right, and I think kind of showing how he's really taken after Jimmy Conway. And I love this part where she's like, "You gave them $20 each," and he goes, "It's all right."
Yeah.
And then you see this guy comes over and he's like, "Mr. Tony sent over a bottle of wine." And it's a bottle of Dom Perignon. If you don't know, Dom Perignon is a champagne that can cost like $300 a bottle. Gave myself a little pat on the back for that because you don't see the letter on it. I just immediately recognize like what the like label looks like. It's like sort of like this shield.
Interesting.
And then he like is like holding her hand, and she goes, "What do you do?" And he says, "I'm in construction." And she says, "You don't feel like you're in construction."
He's a union delegate.
Very funny. Very funny.
Yeah, I like that too. I also like that when they come in, there are no tables available, and they just
Yeah,
like
they just
bring
bring
a table
out
in. Yeah, I
and
love
put
that.
it like up front for him. It's
Yeah,
great.
It's really good.
We get a nice J cut because they're watching
Yeah.
Henny Youngman.
Yeah.
He's the king of the one-liners. He says, "Take my wife," but as he's doing his like bit, Tommy and Henry are like going into the airport for the Air France job. See, Frenchie just lets them by. They walked out with $420,000 without using a gun, and they did the right thing. They gave Paulie his tribute.
That's right.
$60K for Paulie.
Polly's a happy guy.
Yeah, and he says, "Anybody asked you got in Vegas playing craps?"
That's right. And then I think next scene we're at the beach resort with Henry and Karen.
Yeah, I think it's like a country club is probably
Okay,
what it is.
gotcha. And yeah, we got Bruce coming up to say hi. Very light thread throughout the movie, but kind of important for showing the way Karen sees Henry and
Yeah,
like what she's
it's
attracted
like
to.
it's like a thread for like the beginning of them dating.
Yeah,
I also like him just trying to throw the cash down. She's like, no, you just have to sign for it.
right.
And then they're at the club again. Another bottle of Dom Perignon coming to the table. And you know the VO here finally gives us the context that he's 21 years old.
Yeah, wild.
It is very wild. Yeah.
Yeah, and Karen's voiceover saying she didn't think anything strange of what's happening. Basically, just that he's thought he was an exciting guy, and it's like I can't tell how much of that is kind of tongue in cheek with like, of course she knows what's going on, but like she doesn't care, or just she's just that naive to be like, yeah, union delegate.
I mean, he's 21. How old is she? But I think there's a certain level of like, I don't want to think about it too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Because she's enamored by him and
Yeah.
his lifestyle. Like she's into it. She's down for this, for like having a lot of money.
Absolutely. I love this cut to the wig commercial with Maury's wigs.
Yeah, as it comes on too, you can hear the chatter in the background that slowly comes into the foreground, which is Henry asking for his money while Maury is on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, and Maury just a fool throughout this whole movie. But with Jimmy in the front of the place basically saying fuck him in the ear, like I'm not like I'll give him his money when I feel like it basically.
Yeah, and I love Jimmy being like, "You got money for your commercial? Where's my fucking
He
money?"
wraps the phone cord around his neck.
Yeah. Also, the whole Bruce thing just gets like paid off like right here,
Yeah.
basically, where
Open and
Karen
shut.
calls him at Maury's. Hank speeds off. See, Karen is in a phone booth, and she's talking about how the guy from across the street started to touch her, started to grab her. She told him to stop, and he didn't, so she hit him back, and then he got really angry, pushed her out of the car.
That's wild to push someone out of a
Yeah,
car.
I this is not the correct thing to do, but I was like, why was she getting a ride from him? Like, why were they?
Well, they live across the street from each other.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I don't know. There was a part of me that was like, what was she? Where was she going? What's she doing?
I
But-
kind of just took it like they were at the like you
At
said
the country club.
country club,
That
and
makes
it's like I'll
sense.
give you a ride home.
That makes sense. But I don't know. It's the 1960s. Getting a ride home alone from a guy that you're not courting. I don't know. I'm just joking. But I was like, there was a little part of where I was like, what was she doing? But again, that's not the correct thing to do. Because no matter what she was doing, people shouldn't act like that.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Which makes this next scene very satisfying.
Yeah,
And this is we had this in The Godfather. I think that's just the two we've seen this in, where someone's abusing someone's loved one, and we just see them get the shit beat out of them, and it was very satisfying both times.
Yeah, for sure. Karen's also like, she's like wearing her sunglasses when they pull up, and she just like looks like super exhausted. But yeah, Hank gets out and just beats the shit out of the guy with his gun.
Yeah, and I love the other two just like, what the fuck? In the way Bruce acts when he walks up, he's like, what the fuck do you want? Or he calls him a fucko or something.
What do you want, fucko?
Yeah, and just immediately starts getting his face bashed in.
Yeah, you touch her again, you're fucking dead, dude.
And he brings the gun to Karen, and this is kind of I feel like the backbone of her character here, where she's like,
This is a crossroads.
yeah, where she's like, most women would have ran away as soon as their husband gave them,
Yeah.
or a loved one gave them a gun to hide. But she has to admit it turned her on.
Yep. She puts the gun somewhere. It looks like she puts it in like a milk crate or something. I'm not sure. And then it immediately cuts to Mazel Tov. They're breaking the glass under the chuppah. And Hank's even wearing a kippah for the ceremony. You see Hank's family is there. His dad looks very displeased. And then we see his little brother Mikey, or Michael, comes back up, who's in a wheelchair. We saw him like in the beginning of the movie. He's played by Kevin Corrigan, who's in the show Grounded for Life. He was also in Detroit Rock City, I believe, and he's also in Pineapple Express. Him and like Craig Robinson are the the two is it Craig Robinson? Is
The
that his
two
name?
like hitmen.
The two hitmen, yeah.
Yeah, I
Used to be
remember.
fucking beautiful, man. I fucking love that movie. A cop, a lady, and a guy? That's like a massacre.
I saw that one in theaters, but I remember it was hilarious.
I did as well. Several times since then. I saw it in theaters in Walnut Creek, which is in the Bay Area. I had been earlier that day. I had been in Berkeley, and I was trying to buy. I was 17 at the time, I think. 17 was I? I was, and I was trying to buy some. Maybe I wasn't. No, I was 17. I think it was during the Olympics, the
Mm.
2008 Olympics in China, and I was trying to buy some papers, and this guy was like, it was really funny because the guy was standing next to me. He's like, I'll buy them for you, and the guy at the front was like, okay, and then I'm sitting at the theater with my sister and my dad. And I look to my left, and the guy to my left is the guy who bought me the papers earlier that day.
That's so funny.
Pretty
Wow.
wild.
Wow.
They got a huge cake. You see all the guys that are there. You got Paulie, Jimmy, you got Tommy. You also have Tommy's mom, played, of course, by Catherine Scorsese. And she's like, why can't you be more like your friend Henry, you know? Very funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and just I feel like the wedding's mostly through Karen's perspective of just like being married into, like she says, it's like Henry had two families and she's being married into both of them, and like all the money they're bringing him. I love the cuts of like all the envelopes being
Yeah.
handed, and then it zooms up and it's like a huge line of people with the
Yeah, yeah.
envelopes. Yeah, good
All
stuff.
of them were named Peter or Paul. All of
That's
them
very
married
funny.
to girls named Marie. All of them named their daughters Marie. I was married once. I was my ex-wife is Romanian, and we didn't have like a big wedding. We just had a very, very small ceremony. And she purposefully did not invite her parents. Her parents are divorced, so neither her parents or her step parents, but her mom, I think, was kind of disappointed by that. And she always kind of like told him, "Oh, we'll have like a bigger ceremony and have everyone like sort of come at some point." And still, her mom wanted to do something, really wanted to do something, even though they didn't really get along. So we went to Maggiano's and had this sort of like thing, and we sat at a table in front of everyone, and everybody walked up and like handed us like envelopes with like cash and fucking like checks. So it was funny because watching it previously, I was like, that's so wild. But now I'm like, with the context I've had, I'm like, yeah, I've been here before. Not on this scale, but
Right.
definitely been here before. And honestly, it was an insane amount of money that people were giving us.
Hell
A lot
yeah.
of money.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Wise
Where's
guy
that
over
money
here.
now? No, not a wise guy. I'm not. Don't say that. To all the police enforcement listening, I live a very by the books life. I work as a bartender. I work nights, and I live within my means.
That's right.
Maybe beyond my means a little bit, but hey.
It's Seattle. Can't help that. Yeah, like they have Henry and Karen have their wedding dance, and she's worried about the money, and he's like, "Nah, you don't need to worry about that here, sunshine," or whatever he says. And then we cut to Karen getting yelled at by her mom, because I guess this is interesting to me that they're both staying at Karen's parents, and she's complaining like, "Why doesn't he get his own place?" They're like, "You wanted us to live here," but it's like, yeah, wait, why aren't they at their own place? Like, Henry's stacked.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it has to do with that his money. I don't know. He doesn't want to draw too much attention.
Yeah, it's a good call.
There's also the line about her dad. The man hasn't been able to digest a good meal in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah, Henry's home late.
He's home in like the morning.
Yeah, I like I like the way
He's home early, actually.
he shows up, and Karen opens the door for him, and then immediately the mom starts like chewing him out, and Henry just immediately like nah and leaves with Tommy.
Yeah. And the next scene is the hostess party that Karen is at, that Mickey is hosting. Talks about how they didn't look good, they didn't dress well. All they talked about was how rotten their kids were, and she says that, when Henry picks her up, she was dizzy, and you see her telling Henry she doesn't know if she can live like that. What if? Because I think in the previous scene they're talking about people going to jail and stuff like that, and
Well, there was one guy who had a gun that went off that accidentally killed someone, and then he went to jail, and like their life fell apart outside of that, and so she's thinking back at him giving her the gun.
Jeannie's husband who
Yeah.
went to prison, And she's like, "What if you went to prison?" And he's like, "Nobody goes to prison unless they want to." Jeannie's husband went to prison because he wanted to get away from her.
Yeah, all of the fucking gaslighting from Henry in this movie drives me crazy.
Yeah, I imagine that that's perhaps not like completely untrue though. Like,
Well, I mean, he's been arrested before, so like nobody goes to jail unless they want to. It's just like a
he,
ridiculous statement.
but he didn't go to jail.
Sure,
Like,
sure,
I
sure.
mean, they're paying judges. They're paying like
Yeah.
they have like lawyers. He didn't go to jail. I mean, he's not wrong. I legitimately think he believes that. I don't think he doesn't think that. I think he's like convinced that he's like, I'm safe. I'm fine.
Right, I'm too smart to go to jail, basically.
I'm too connected to go to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, and then this is when we get Karen talking about how she didn't really see Henry's lifestyle as like crime. He was just like enterprising, like how normalized it all became.
Pretty soon it didn't feel like crime, she says. It's very interesting because there's like no music and they're just like kissing, very obviously leading up to like sex with just the VO. And the first time I watched it, didn't like really notice it. But this time I was like, this is kind of like, this is a little weird, a little awkward. But I forgot to point out, Lorraine Bracco is playing Karen. She also plays famously in The Sopranos. She plays Dr. Jennifer Melfi,
Yeah.
the psychiatrist.
Yeah. Yeah, we got Christopher in this movie too from The Sopranos.
Michael Imperioli, yes,
totally
also
forgot
of
that.
White Lotus fame these days. And he's also, I think he has like a punk band or some hardcore band. I don't know, I feel like people bring that up a lot.
Interesting, I didn't know that. He's great. One of my favorite characters in The Sopranos. Also a piece of shit in that show, but you know, just a normal guy in this one. But we'll get there. So we had Tommy and Henry robbing a truck, and then detectives show up, or at least I don't know if they're detectives. Cops show up at their house, Karen and Henry's house, and I assume they have their own place now. Is what?
It seems like it. Yeah.
And yeah, they're searching the house. I like her little voiceover talking about how she always offered coffee, and just like how this was. It's so like she was talking about how like she didn't see it as crime, and this also feels very normalized to her. She's like, yeah, sometimes they show up and they look around a bit and then they leave. You know, I offer them coffee.
Yeah, she said the other wives would spit at them on their own floors, and she's like, I don't understand why they would do that.
And I think she even mentions that like sometimes or even mostly they just wanted bribes.
Yeah, they were just looking for handouts.
Yeah. And then we get a birthday party.
It's little Jimmy's birthday. I think this is Jimmy's son.
Yeah. The way and this happened in The Godfather too, where just like kids just kind of keep showing up in the periphery. I do like by the end that they're kind of grown up and stuff, but it's all done very like subtext. Like you just kind of notice it.
His daughters are like fully like teenagers by the end of the movie, and you're like, who are they? What are they like as like people? But it's also like kind of like not consequential to like the plot.
Yeah, not
right?
the focus. I feel like I don't know if it's a nitpick. It's just like the style of the movie that they're going for here. But I feel like one of the things the movie lacks for me is a bit of like an emotional core, like an emotional center. And I feel like maybe the children could have brought that in more, but I don't know. That's not really the vibe of the movie.
No, it is sort of like detached and like comedic in a way, like is the way it sort of looks at it. And I think maybe that's like if you did it like really like genuinely, it would be, I don't know, maybe too depressing. I'm not sure, but I appreciate how funny this movie is. I appreciate the sort of like tone that it goes for. But yeah, it's definitely not like I'm not sitting there like shedding any tears over anyone at any point in time in this movie.
No, I don't think I felt too much in general. Just kind of like funny and intense.
Yeah, this is also sort of just like passing a lot of time. Karen explains we always did everything together. We only went to each other's houses. There's montages of pictures when the kids were born. Mickey and Jimmy were always the first ones at the hospital. Then we have Karen and Henry yelling at each other from across their huge closets. Henry hiding the money. This scene is funny too, where she's like, "I want some money," and he's like, "How much?" And she like holds up her fingers like to show like a stack, and she goes, "This much." And then he gives her some money, and then gives her a blowjob. Gives him a blowjob.
That's right.
We don't see the blowjob. I want to point that out. We see the beginnings of fellatio. Fellatio implied.
Yes, that's right. Thank you for clarifying. And then June 11th, 1970, the Sweet Lounge.
In Queens, New York. You got Billy Bats greeting people, buying around for everyone.
Yeah, and this part is just like so dark, man. These people are so awful. But I like the way it's set up here, where yeah, just getting drinks at the bar. Tommy comes in, and you can tell that Bats used to know him when he was still like a kid, and he starts kind of talking down to Tommy, talking about how he used to shine
he's like
shoes.
chirping at him. He's like, because he walks in with a girl, introduces her to Jimmy, and to like Henry, like, and he says it's his joint. Like, I guess Henry owns this place, and then yeah, Billy Bats just fucking chirping at him like from the corner. It's like, bro, chill out. Like, I just got here. Wait 1 second. I'll come say hi to you, right? But yeah, immediately like you can feel like the tension between them.
No more shining, Bats, or whatever he says to him.
Yeah, no more shines. And then of course he turns and he says, "Now go home and get your fucking shine box." I love the way that the scene is set up. Like, you don't necessarily like know where like the power is like held.
Yeah.
It's so much more about like the dialogue and like the power in like who has control over the other's emotions.
Right. Well, so Bats is a made man, so
Yes.
he feels untouchable.
Which we get the context of later, where they like fully explain that, which I think is a good choice.
Yeah.
Not to be like in the voiceover, Billy Bats just got out of jail. He was a made man.
Right.
He was untouchable, right? Like, instead you just like let everything play out and then kind of present the audience with like, this is the magnitude of like the consequences of what they've just done.
I agree, because it would be a little too much foreshadowing for that there will be consequences from this versus just like, this is just like a battle of pride here and Tommy got pissed.
Yeah, I love them trying to smooth everything over.
Jimmy's like, yeah, you insulted him a little bit.
You insulted him a little bit. Great line, very good. And then there's also this whole thing where like Henry's like, all right, everybody like drinks on me, and then Billy Bats is like, no, drinks on me, and then like Jimmy and Henry are like, no, drinks on us.
Yeah,
and
drinks on the house.
Yeah, I just fucking love that sort of like back and forth.
It's
very
kind
good.
of the moral code thing, but it's like also twisted just to like one up each other,
Also, Robert De Niro just fully doing that thing with his face when he's like, you insulted him a little bit. He just got like
Robert De Niro is just so good in this
very,
movie.
very good in this movie. Also, very fun just to see the contrast between this character and Lorenzo.
Absolutely, yeah. And so yeah, after hours they beat the shit out of Bats,
and the lights are all red now, which they weren't before.
Yeah, and yeah, you again, like you were saying earlier, like Henry kind of looks shocked. Like, I don't think he was expecting them to beat him to death.
Well, Henry tries to stop him, and what's very interesting is that Henry goes to stop him, and then like wordlessly, Tommy just motions to him, and Henry just stops in his tracks, and is like, and it's like this understanding of like, okay, Tommy, I'll give you this one, right? Like,
yeah. And
I love the way where like Jimmy's talking to him, and like and he sees Tommy coming up, and he knows what's gonna go down, and they fucking beat the shit out of him.
Yep. And then they stop by Tommy's mother's house, which is a super funny scene.
Yeah, great scene. I love this. I think this is the one that people are always talking about, like, that like, well, they go to look for a shovel because they go through the whole, like, they show like them like wrapping him up in like tablecloths, dragging him into like the trunk. But people always talk about how I think this is just like what his mom would do or something, like, but it's very, very cute. She just like immediately starts cooking for them, and like, no, and then they end up just like sitting around like eating, it's, and the whole, they hit a deer, and then of course mom's still like, get a nice girl. Very funny.
And the mom just like calling out Henry for being so quiet, which I think is also just calling upon that Henry is the one who is the most disturbed by what just happened, and Tommy and Jimmy are pretty chill about it, so they're just being themselves while Henry's kind of freaking out. Yeah,
she says, you don't talk much, and then don't eat much, don't talk much.
And Tommy's like, by the way, Mom, I'm gonna take this knife. I'll bring it back.
Yeah, very, very fucking funny. And then they
her showing off the painting.
They have the painting, yes, which is, and they're like, oh my god, it looks like Billy Bats.
So funny.
Without the beard, of course. And I looked at it and I was like, is that Martin Scorsese? Like,
oh really? I wasn't thinking about it.
It looks a little like Martin Scorsese to me.
Good painting.
And we go back to the intro scene again, that we've already
in the
seen.
trunk, yeah. And then we get kind of another voiceover. I think the voiceovers like are kind of essential to this movie. We're kind of back and forth on how much we like voiceovers in movies, but
It
uh,
it's less back and forth. It's more like if it's done well, it's
yeah,
done well. If it's done poorly, it's done poorly.
right. Yeah, I guess it's a hard thing to pull off well, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's like you're saying central to this movie.
Yeah, because we're seeing the same scene again, but now we're getting this monologue from Henry about like the hitman culture in the Goodfella world of just like hits became a habit for some of these guys, and again, kind of this idea of normality like throughout the whole movie, where it's just like, well, you kill people often enough, it becomes a little second nature of just like, maybe we should kill that guy.
Yeah.
Not the gravity that we've seen in some of the other mafia movies.
He also goes through that Tommy had killed a made man. Bats was part of the Gambino crew. They should have had a sit down, should have had a good reason, and gotten an okay. Or they're the ones that are going to get whacked. So, setting up the sort of risk
Yeah.
or the impending consequences of what has been done.
And they had no good reason for like this is not a hit that would have been approved. Like you were insulted by a made guy. He's a made guy. He can insult you if he wants.
There's also the way that they're doing it under like the headlights. Very cool. I thought like just have the headlights pointing as they're like digging the grave.
Yes, yeah. Super cool. Yeah, because we get the brighter lights here, but then we get or is this with the red lights? No, I think that's when they dig up the body later that we get like the super red, foggy light as they're digging up the body.
I think it's like maybe perhaps a similar-ish sort of like look to it.
Yeah.
Next scene is the table being pulled out in front of stage again, and you hear Saturday night was for the wives, but Fridays was for the girlfriends,
Yeah. Which is so fucked up. That's another thing that I just find so despicable about, like, especially Henry, just constantly cheating. And, like, again, a big turnoff for me for Tony Soprano, just constantly cheating.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big part of the culture to the point that they have.
I find
like,
it realistic.
They have like a name, like I mean they don't use it in this, but like the guma is the classic thing, which is a very interesting word like linguistically because it comes from the Italian word comare, which is similar to like the Spanish word comadre, which means like I think in Italian means like godmother. And so they took the term godmother and use that as like the name for their
the side
for
piece.
their girlfriends. Yeah, which is wild. Also very interesting, like Sicilian does this thing where a lot of C's like become like G sounds. Like that's why you get like from capicolo you get gabagool, things like that.
Interesting. Yeah, we have Tommy jealous of that his girl is
talking about Sammy Davis Jr. and being attracted to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't want to say too loudly that you're attracted to a black guy, like basically.
Yeah, which is gross. How just like Tommy is like the most insecure dude in the world. Like this is the last person in the world you want with a lot of power, and I feel like that's just kind of illustrated over and over and over again how easily he's set off how like just nasty he is and cynical.
Yeah, apparently what they said about the accuracy of according to Henry Hill, Joe Pesci's portrayal of Tommy, the real guy's name was Tommy DeSimone, was 90 to 99% accurate. The only exception really is that Tommy was like fucking huge. Like he was like super big.
Interesting, because it's like his smaller stature that I feel like fits into this kind of inferiority complex he has throughout the movie. You know what I mean?
Nope, I don't know what you mean because I'm 5'7" and I feel great.
Yeah, it's just I feel like the trope is you're gonna have this trope less often with someone who's huge and can fuck anyone up physically.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anywho,
Joe Pesci, completely normal sized human being.
The crowd loves this singer comes up. I love this singer too. Beautiful voice. It's kind of an interesting. I don't know what they're trying to say here because there's a long shot of just like showing all their faces, kind of just enamored by this singer.
Yeah, I mean, you can see like Henry being moved by it. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a reminder, like these people are human. They like, they too can like
enjoy
experience art,
Yeah.
and be moved by it.
Yeah, maybe that's all it is and all it needs to be.
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, Henry, I think, is he go home with Janice here? Is that what we see?
He takes Janice to her place. And there's a cool shot of them coming up to the front of the building with the car. They go in, and then we stay outside, and we just watch like the sun come up,
Yeah.
showing that he spent all night over there instead of with his family,
Yeah.
right?
Another J cut too with the singer kind of
Yeah,
singing over this happening, and I like that. I like how often like especially near the end when things start going really crazy, like it's keeps switching between different songs for the different like it's one huge montage in a way, but it keeps changing tone just with the music. I like that a lot.
Henry and Karen are bringing their kids over to Polly's. I love all the handshakes, the hugs, the kisses. It's good stuff. And then Polly's asking Hank about the thing, and it turns out the thing is people are looking for Billy Bats, and everyone is busting like Polly's balls about it, and like, hey, keep your eyes open.
Yeah, and I find the way Henry's lying here to be very convincing, where he like remembers every other murder that's going on besides, the maid guy who just disappeared. He's like, oh yeah, that thing, no, not that thing. Oh, that thing, no. And he's like, bats, and he's like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. And then yeah, they're at the bar, and Jimmy, or no, is this still at Polly's when Jimmy comes up to him and he's like, yo, no, this is at the bar. He's like, we need to move the body. They're gonna, they're zoning in, turning it into an apartment complex.
And make condominiums.
Yeah.
And then they go to dig it up, and you see Hank puking.
Yeah, I love this might be my favorite shot of the movie, just like the red glare and
Sorry,
the
I don't
mist.
think anybody calls him Hank. I just did. Henry puking. Sorry.
Yeah, it looks amazing, and it's so ominous, them digging up this body. I love it.
And I love the way it cuts to him spraying down the trunk, and the kids are like, "What the?" Like with the kids, and she's like, "The fuck is going on here? Like, it smells like shit."
Yeah, I can't imagine what a 6-month deteriorated body smells like. That's rough. And so you got Janice a place nearby,
around the corner from the suite.
Yeah, just real piece of work, these guys.
And there's also the thing where he had to straighten out
Janice's boss. Yeah, that's what I had a note there. I couldn't quite read it. Yeah, that's so funny to me that he's just like fucking up his side girl's problems, like anyone in his life. He needs to. So like, yeah, he doesn't like killing, but he's not opposed to violence, I feel like.
No, not at all. And then there's this sort of like the scene where he jumps on Janice in a room, like not like a threatening way, in like a cute sort of way, scaring away her friends, except for this one friend who he makes eye contact with, who ends up being his guma later on in the movie.
Yeah, Sandy, right? And she's kind of the one in charge of cutting all the coke later, I believe. Kind of just like the one who carries the product, and then I think it's Lois is the one who actually moves it.
Yeah, Debbie Mazar is the name of this actor. I've seen her in like a couple of other things I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Henry's whole approach, just being kind of this like this charming stud who like seduces women to do his work for him, basically. Yeah, and then next we're at the bar, and they're playing poker. We got Christopher from The Sopranos. What's his name again? The
Michael
actor?
Imperioli. He's playing Spider.
Yeah, Spider.
He's the guy getting them drinks, and then this whole thing with Tommy where he's like, you didn't ask me for a drink, and then he makes him dance.
There's such a
with
weird
the gun.
back and forth here where he's like, well, you said that Spider, I'm good, and I thought that, and like it goes on for so long.
Yeah.
And then
honestly, I don't know why someone would spend so much time trying to argue with him.
Yeah.
I would just be like, I'm so sorry. What can I get you? You know?
Yeah, just super awkward. I think he's just like nervous and he doesn't want to.
No, I think he is. I think he's nervous. I think he's also like trying to like, save face a little bit and be like, I didn't fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe there's the idea of like, if I admit I fucked up, then I fucked up. But if I like can like, argue
Weasel my
around,
way out of it. Yeah. Yeah, Tommy, just a madman. He pulls out his gun. I love the way the poker table just all reacts to him waving around his gun. Like they all see him as a madman, but it's like he's their madman, and
they're also around guns. This is unsafe. Like this is not safe gun handling practices.
Yeah. And yeah, he starts shooting at his feet to make him dance, and shoots him in the foot. And everyone at the poker table is like, "God damn it, Tommy!" But they all also kind of laugh it off. And then I think we cut to Karen throwing his car keys out the window.
Yeah, saying you haven't been home in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so she suspects he's cheating.
She says something's going on.
Yeah.
She also says, "Go to your ready-made whores," as he like leaves.
Yeah.
And then you see like the daughter watching
Yeah.
as he like leaves.
That part made me really sad.
I think that's why you don't really want to focus too much
Yeah.
on the kids. I think it's maybe a little bit depressing.
Yeah.
Henry's laughing with the boys back at the same spot. You got Spider with the bandage on his foot. Tommy's making fun of his foot. And then Spider says, "Why don't you go fuck yourself, Tommy?" And then everyone, and like people think it's really funny that he sort of like stood up to him. And then
Yeah.
Jimmy has to fucking be like, "Are you going to let him get away with that?" And then Tommy just fucking shoots him fucking dead.
Yep. And then Jimmy's like, "What the fuck,
He says,
man?"
"You're going to dig the hole."
Yeah. But yeah, again, it's just like, it's more of
Yeah.
a hassle and a nuisance than like, oh, I can't believe you just murdered that man.
Yeah. You got Karen trying to buzz Janice at her apartment. She's with her kids,
Yeah, like this
buzzing
scene.
over and over again.
She's like basically buzzing the entire building to let them know that Janice is a whore that stole her husband.
Yeah. Misplaced anger, I think. Like I can understand being upset, but I don't think you need to take it out on Janice.
Well, I get it though. I mean, she's complicit in this affair.
Yeah, but like I mean,
yes, you should blame your loved one is the one who's responsible to keep your like.
I don't think there's a justification for harassing her at her house. Like I understand what you're saying, that she is like the other woman, but I don't think there's any ground to stand on to be like, yeah, sure. Like, I mean, I can see why she did that because people do that a lot, but I'm always like, why are you taking it out on this person? Like, this is such misdirected anger. Like, the person you should have a problem with is the person you decide to spend the rest of your fucking life with, the person you got married.
Yeah, I agree, but I guess I'm a little more lenient on blaming someone for like sleeping with your loved one.
No, I'm more lenient, I think. I think you're less lenient because
I'm more lenient with someone being mad about that, is what I'm saying. Like, I understand the fury.
Yeah, I understand somebody being mad, but it's like, again, I don't think, and I mean, I'm not saying that she's like thinking in the most constructive way, like, but it's just a silly thing to do, to be like, I'm gonna take this out on this lady and I'm gonna tell all of her neighbors that she's a whore. Like, it's just like, I don't know.
No.
It's
I don't
completely
approve.
it's misdirected anger,
Yeah.
and like, sure, can I understand why somebody would do it? I guess so, but again, I just missed, like, what a waste of energy.
Yeah. I like Henry waking up to her just like over him with the gun to his face. Yeah, and again, just Henry just grosses me out so much here, dude. Like the way he just like, he's like, "No, baby, I love you. Like, you're the only one I love. Like, come on, don't." Like, just all the sweet nothings she wants to hear, and then as soon as she puts the gun down, fucking jumps on her and puts the gun to her head and is like,
Yeah.
"I should fucking kill you."
Very, very uncharming turn when he points the gun at her. And I wrote a note down that said, "God, what a beautiful disaster." I'm not sure if that was a line or if that was just a observation at the time, but it is, wow, what a disaster.
Yeah.
Jimmy and Paulie showing up to Janice's apartment. Hank and Janet are greeting Janice greeting them. And she's like sort of showing off her like house. You hear Paulie telling like Henry, like, "Hey, Karen came by. You got to go home to your family. You got to get things under control, man."
Which, yeah, I find that aspect of this movie super interesting. Just like the close knit community of just like, like it's almost like they don't want to hear all the other wives complaining about this situation, and it's
Yeah.
like you're disturbing the balance here of our
You're
community.
fucking it up for everyone. Like,
Yeah.
we all have girlfriends, dude. Like, please don't fuck this up for us.
Yeah,
and
I like
then-
that Jimmy's like, she'll kill him, but she won't divorce him.
Yeah. And Paulie tells Henry, "You're going to go down to Florida. You're going to do this thing for me. Then when you get back, romance her." Then we get Tampa, Florida. 2 days later, they're beating some guy up, and they're talking about throwing him to the lions. Very funny, but also kind of terrifying.
Very awesome. I love that, like, they're slamming his head on the dashboard or whatever, but it's not until they are like leaning him into the lion pit that you just see him in the phone booth. Like, no, these guys are serious, man. But he coughs up the money, which gives them plenty of time to chill out after, some much needed R&R.
Yeah. And they see that when they get back, they were all over the news. The guy they got, his sister was a typist for the FBI.
Yep.
So she gives up Jimmy, Henry, and her brother. Jimmy and Henry get 10 years. We see everybody do a little toast, wishing them luck, because Henry's about to go to jail.
Yeah, and I find it interesting. I feel like this happens a couple times too, where like Henry only took that job because like Polly specifically wanted him to kind of get away for a little bit and then come back. So it's like it was supposed to be Tommy that went to jail for this basically, but like Henry, wrong place, wrong time. Maybe you could even say some karma for all of his cheating and stuff catching up with him.
Yeah, for sure. Then we have them in jail. We have a very well known scene, I think, where Polly's cutting the garlic with a razor blade.
Yeah.
Talking about dinner was always a big deal, and then we see the way that they're living. Is very much like
Fishy.
yeah, not the typical prison experience.
Yeah, I also noticed in the scene before this when they're toasting at the bar, this is when we see Henry taking some pills. I don't know what he's taking here, but
Yeah, he takes some pills before he leaves for jail.
but I think we're very much setting up kind of a drug problem that will be oncoming and growing throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and you see, because I mean, during this part where you see them in the prison, you see Hank is getting all the food stuff from people, but he's also getting drugs, and he's making money selling drugs as well.
Yeah. But yeah, this dinner scene, love it. Polly's
There's
doing...
also, I think, where he meets the Pitts. I think it's mentioned at some point, but this is where he meets the like Pittsburgh people who he gets his cocaine from.
Makes sense. Yeah, Polly's doing the garlic. You got Vinny on the sauce. Johnny doing the meat, smoking a cigar. The like the guard coming in. He's like, "All right, boys," and it's like a big box of lobsters and stuff, just like the most gourmet shit they can get.
Yeah, and they mentioned that Jimmy was doing his time in Atlanta.
Yep.
We have Karen visiting the prison with and she's got her daughters, and
I like that they waver through. Like you can like a very subtle like, "Oh, we don't need to search you. We know the deal."
Yeah, but she looks at the
visiting
guest
list.
registry and sees that like Janice has visited Henry as well, and she immediately starts like bitching at him, pulling out all the shit that she's been sneaking in for him. And it's very, very funny.
Yeah, I like
but
that
also
the warden,
very like tense.
Yeah, I like the warden in the background. Just like I don't know if he's the warden or what his position is exactly, but he's just like, oh god, because he knows exactly what's happening, but he like is trying to cover it up. He's just so nervous about what he's saying.
For sure.
Yeah, and he mentions here like, hey, like so Polly's out now. He's on parole, but he can't help us. So like it's got to be us. Like,
well, and he says that when you're in jail, you take care of yourself. Like they can't be involved with helping you while you're in jail because that might implicate them, I believe is what the idea is.
Yeah, and it's interesting because he's talking about how careful they need to be. So it seems like Henry's still aware that he like this is a no-no, like he shouldn't be doing side business, but that's kind of contrasted with the way Polly talks to him afterwards. So I don't know, I just find that kind of that moral code kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is just sort of like I'm on my own, like I'm doing what I can to survive, and I feel like he like probably feels like they would understand like that I like.
But he's still nervous enough where he wants to keep it secret.
Yeah, for sure.
So it seems like he's mostly thinks it'll be all right, but isn't quite sure.
In this scene, it seems more like Karen is worried that Polly's gonna find out, and Henry's like, don't worry about it. Just keep bringing stuff.
Yeah.
Just keep bringing stuff.
Yeah, we just need to be careful about it.
And this is where he mentions that he's working with the Pittsburgh guys.
Yeah. And then we get 4 years later. Time just flying by.
And I love how enthusiastically Karen picks him up. Like she seems very excited to see him again.
Yeah.
His daughters very happily greet him, and he looks at the house and he like says, "Get packed up. We're moving out of here."
Yeah.
And I think he mentions he's got to go to Pittsburgh to pick up $15,000. And then they're at Polly's.
Yep.
They're eating the good food, and then Polly telling Hank to stay out of the shit that he did in the joint. And Polly does say to him like, "Look, I understand you did what you had to survive while you were in there, but now that you're out here, like, leave that shit behind.
Stay away from that garbage," he says.
Yeah, and he said, "Watch out for Jimmy. He's taking too much chances." And Tommy's fucking crazy, And Polly's like, I don't want to die in prison,
Yeah. And yeah, again, Paulie is so reasonable throughout this movie. He reminds me of Vito in that way of like, just stay out of this drug shit. That's gonna fuck us up. And of course, he's right. Um, yeah, it's almost like the Godfather is kind of a prologue in that way of like the setup of how the drugs like really started to mess up all of their business. Yeah, and then so as soon as he promises Paulie that he's gonna stay out of it, it cuts to like them cutting blow and getting high, and Henry saying it was real good business. And immediately, then again, just like the contrast of like stay away from Tommy and Jimmy, they're bad news, and he's like, so of course I brought Tommy and Jimmy in.
Well, he said he's selling so much that he needed help.
Yeah.
He needs Jimmy and Tommy to help him out. There's a funny little scene of Jimmy at like the probation officer at the probation office, and they're like asking him what he does for work. I can't remember what he says, but it's a fun little like quick little scene.
Yeah.
Karen showing off her place to Maury and his wife. They show like how the like wall opens.
Yeah, the rock like opens up to a bar behind it with the stereo and everything. Pretty awesome.
And then Maury's got a job for Jimmy and Henry.
Yeah.
And it turns out to be the Lufthansa heist,
which they state is the biggest heist in American history, at least at that time, which is pretty fucking wild if that's true.
Yeah, you got Tommy and Frankie Carbone. They're gonna grab the outside guard, make him get in the front door. You've got Frenchie and Joe Buddha. Joe Buddha played by Clem Caserta of Jimmy Whispers fame. They're gonna round up the workers. You got Johnny Roast Beef. All the names always great. This one's got some great names as well. I would say maybe Bronx Tale. I like the names more just because I don't know, because you get I think the like context of them, and in this one you only really get the two times.
Yeah, because I think part of that is that a Bronx Tale is a much smaller pool. Like this is a much bigger amount of characters moving in and out versus a Bronx Tale. You just have like this, like 10 guys hanging out at this one spot, basically.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are like in throughout the movie. I feel like I don't know, like just overall, I hear their names. Frankie
but they're
Carbone,
more in the background,
blah, blah, blah.
I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's not like Jojo the Whale is a central character in a Bronx Tale. I guess they all have their like little pieces to deliver.
Yeah.
But you get Stax as well, played by Samuel L. Jackson. He's gonna steal the panel truck, get it compacted in Jersey. And then we get this sort of thing that Maury is being really fucking annoying. He wants an advance. Like he obviously wants his money. He wants his part.
And the choice to just keep stiffing him till his death. It's just like, damn, bro. No respect.
I mean, he was annoying.
Yeah, I guess that's all it comes down to. Yeah. Do you think they would have just given him his money and everything would have been fine if he just shut up about it?
Maybe. I'm
not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Maybe if he was more likable,
Because it was his plan, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not so much his plan. It was his job. Like he was like, this is the score, and then Jimmy's the one who puts everything
right. But
together.
I mean, he's the one who like introduced the possibility.
So
for sure. Cut him out, it's pretty fucking cold. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know, pretty typical. I think of these situations.
Yeah.
There's a cute little baby, and when we see like the babysitter Lois, and he's talking about how everyone's working for him, and I think this is where we start to see his consumption kind of getting a little out of control. Him taking a line as they're portioning everything.
Yeah, and was the implication here, because they kind of make it sound like she was pretending this is her kid? Is she hiding the drugs on the baby?
Perhaps. I think in the baby bag, like where they put where you would put the diapers and all that stuff.
Wild.
It is wild. It's very wild. Whenever there's people, I've known people who say that they will take we live in a state where cannabis is legal, right? So people I've heard will be like, yeah, I'll just take a vape and put it in my bag when I fly in the airport. And I'm like, that's insane.
Yeah, people tell me that too. That scares the crap out
of me. I was at a
man.
yo-yo contest and someone talking about yeah, I'll just put weed in my bag, and I'm like, what? That's so fucking wild. That's insane. I wouldn't I'm so terrified of doing anything like that, because that is a federal thing too.
Yeah, they'll fucking send you to prison for that shit.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. People are out here doing wild shit. But yeah, I guess back then it was much different. You just walk on the fucking plane with a huge bag of fucking coke. I also love how like as you see Henry kind of getting out of control, he's telling like, take it easy, Sandy. Like don't do too much coke. And you see so much fucking like powder like all over the fucking place.
Yep. Yeah, and it also establishes here he's hooking up with Sandy now as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love this scene of he's in the shower and the radio's playing, and that's how it's confirmed to him that the heist was pulled off.
Yeah.
And he's just like cheering. I thought that was a really fun, visceral scene.
Yeah, and Henry walks into the spot. It's Christmas. He's greeted by Jimmy. Guy shows up. He's got his new wedding gift, which is this car. Jimmy's super pissed. He's like, told you not to fucking buy anything.
But
He's
it's
like,
in
no,
his
no,
mother's name.
Yeah, my mom bought it. Like, I think he said his mother-in-law, maybe.
Yeah,
even, And the music slowly fades as he's like berating the guy.
Yeah, I like that. I noticed
Then you
that
have Carbone come in and the girl he's with is wearing a $20,000 mink fur coat. Jimmy takes it off of her, and then they're like, "What the fuck? Everybody's fucking up. Everybody's like going too crazy."
Yeah, yeah. This is where Jimmy's paranoia really starts to set in.
Yeah, but I think this is very reasonable.
Oh, yeah, I know. I just mean this is it's kind of the catalyst of why he becomes so paranoid is that he realizes everyone around him is too careless. Yeah, and then we got Maury again being like, I need money. I love Henry trying to cool everything down throughout the movie.
Yeah, Maury says, I can see everyone got their money. I want my money.
Yeah,
and
I'd
Henry
be pissed
says
too, but I would shut up.
Yeah, Henry's yeah. I mean, these people have guns. Like these people are violent people.
Yeah.
And Henry's like, okay, I'm gonna talk to him. And then I love that Henry goes to talk to him, and Jimmy just hands him like a big sack of money.
Yeah, he's just like, fuck you, Maury. You'll get your money whenever it's time, and it's just like, here you go, buddy, love you.
Henry doesn't fucking say anything.
Smooch on the kiss. Yeah. Smooch on the lips, I mean.
Right after Jimmy gives him all the money, the next scene is Hank, of course, showing up home with the most expensive tree he could find.
Yeah, right after Jimmy's just like, all right, just don't be like these other idiots. Play it cool.
Yeah.
Immediate cut to him not playing it cool.
And he hands his wife, Karen a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And then this is
Happy Hanukkah, too, he says.
And this is where we hear $6 million in cash.
Yeah. Wild. And then I think it's, straight to...
Tommy knocking on Stack's door. This is a cool little scene because when you see he gets up and you can't see if anyone is in the bed with him, but it kind of looked like there might be someone. And then Tommy says, I thought you had one of your bitches in here. And Stack says, I did. Where the fuck is she? And then you just see
so funny.
Tommy killing Stack,
Yeah, too bad. I like because they set him up as kind of this kind of fun-loving guy that everyone loved. He liked to sing at the bar and stuff, and then
the thing is that he doesn't get rid of the fucking truck.
I like you were saying earlier, I like how they set it up here, where they show you him getting killed and then explain why.
And then they tell you why. Yeah.
Because at first you're like, oh, geez, these guys are just monsters trying to. Not let anything lead back to them. It's like, oh, okay, actually it would have led back to them because he fucked up. He got stoned and went to his girl's place instead of moving the truck.
Yeah.
What an idiot.
Yeah, there's also this great little part where, because it's Tommy and Carbone are in there, and there's this great bit where like Tommy's like, make some coffee, and like he starts making the coffee, and then Tommy like they're like leaving, and he's like taking the coffee, and Tommy's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Just leave the fucking coffee, dude.
Yeah.
Henry rushes in to go talk to Jimmy. Everyone tells Henry, hey, have a drink, calm down. But Henry's kind of freaking out a little bit. He's like, what's going on with Stacks? There's like feds all over the place. And then Tommy's like, you worry too much.
Yeah, they got it all under control.
Yeah. And then we have the sort of thing of like, you didn't tell him yet, they're going to make Tommy. Tommy's going to be a made man. And Jimmy and that immediately distracts Henry from that. He's immediately like sick. I'm so fucking happy for you.
Yeah,
know?
and my understanding of being made, and they explain it a bit in the movie, like it's basically like you're made like a lieutenant, like a boss in your own right within the crime family.
Yeah, I think it's a certain level of respect, a certain level of like you've been around for so long that now you're sort of like untouchable, right? Like you are like at this upper echelon of the crew.
Right.
Maury still trying to get his money, trying to talk to Jimmy. Henry trying to smooth it over. You just gotta stop busting balls.
I love this so much where Maury is just like, being adamant about it. He's like, no, I'm going to talk to Jimmy about it. And then Henry's like, all right. And then calls his bluff and opens the door. Go talk to him then. And Maury's just like, no, it's okay.
I think he like walks out singing as well. And then we get the get fucking Sunshine of Your Love.
Yeah, and I wasn't positive. Are all of the music tracks like supposed to be of this year, or is it just an era thing?
I'm not sure because I guess it's 1967. Is that where it is? Because
Yeah.
we see 1963 and then 4 years later.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure when.
I think Disraeli Gears might have come out that year. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, seems about right. But yeah, this is when Henry's commenting on, and it's like a long zoom in shot of Jimmy, and I'm trying to kind of figure out what's going on with him here. De Niro just looks like so intense. And he's saying like this is when he figured out Jimmy was a nervous wreck, and then it shows them walking together, and I love his implication that he's gonna whack Maury. And this is such a nice little setup here because yeah, it really like again the sympathetic side of Henry where he's like is so stressed out about him killing Maury, and I don't know how much of that. I think it's that he legitimately just like doesn't want him to die. It's not really business related so much as just like he kind of likes Maury or feels bad for him.
Yeah, I think it's also maybe just like unnecessary like death. But I think the specific thing is Jimmy asks Henry, does Maury tell his wife everything?
Yeah.
And that's the specific thing that Henry says he knows. That means he's gonna fucking kill him.
Yeah.
They're at the card game, and you hear Henry say that he had till 8 or 9 to convince Jimmy not to kill Maury. A lot of cool like timeline things, especially in the big scene later on where all the fucking shit goes down.
Yeah. And I just noticed here when they're laughing around the poker table, like there is this kind of hollow feeling to both Jimmy and Henry here, and Henry's already like not looking okay. Like throughout the movie, he just like keeps looking worse and worse, and I think that's just like his coke addiction.
There's even parts in like the beginning of the movie where I'm like, it's like he's already like tapping into that where I'm like, I know he's not supposed to be like a cokehead right now, but he seems like very like jittery and like unwell. But yeah, by the end of the movie, he's like, well, but like by the end of that big part, like I mean that whole scene where he's like doing a million fucking things at once,
it's so good,
leaving his house, coming back, he's like so fucking pale. His eyes are like so sunk into. He looks like shit.
Yeah. And like Jimmy doesn't have that like sick look to him, but he just like he looks almost sick from stress or something. I think it's very well acted. Whatever like they're going for here, I feel like De Niro's killing it. Like,
yeah. There's this awesome camera work of slowly revealing Hank's medium shot and moving to the right to reveal Jimmy as they're like playing poker. Like, because you see Maury at the card table, you hear the whole thing about have till 8 or 9 to convince Jimmy not to kill Maury, and the camera like slowly panning, like moving over Henry, and then you see Jimmy's right there, right next to him, like almost like this imposing sort of like force that's going to kill Maury, right?
Yeah, and I like that after they're done laughing, Jimmy's like, forget about tonight. And like, I believe him here, right? You want to believe him here, and Henry believes him here because it's like, okay, that was just a passing like paranoia.
He says it's like a load off of my mind.
Yeah.
And there is this, when he's saying that, the camera's slowly pushing in on this 2-shot of Jimmy and Henry. So yeah, really well done. You kind of like really like sort of like pushing you into like the mind of like either of them really at this point. And then it just kind of like snaps away as like Jimmy's like, forget about tonight.
This feels like the turning point of like this is now going into the downfall of all these people. Where just the violence is endless, the paranoia is endless, and everything starts to crumble down.
Yeah. Maury's in the alley. He wants to talk to Jimmy. They're like, let's go get a coffee, and then Tommy fucking kills him.
Yeah, what a brutal death! Just like a knife through the back of the neck. Ugh. At first, I thought he was choking him, and then it shows like no, he's pulling a knife out of his neck. Brutal death.
Jimmy tells Frankie Carbone and Tommy to chop him up and get rid of him.
Yeah, and I like how Carbone starts the car. He's like, "What are you waiting for?" He's like, "I'm warming it up. It's cold."
That's pretty funny. Next scene is Maury's wife Belle knocking on Henry's door. saying he's missing. I know something happened. And then Henry saying, "You got to take you home." And there's this awesome scene of him going up to the bathroom
Yeah.
and slamming the bathroom door behind him, and it cuts immediately to Jimmy opening a door and Henry following him behind.
Yeah, and I think that scene is really well done with the context because while he's trying to deny any involvement and like calm her down, he also realizes the implications of Maury dying and what that means because Jimmy also lied to him about
Yeah.
killing Maury. So now he's like paranoid.
He's out of the loop.
Yeah, so now he's like, oh God, what is this going to turn into? And so him slamming the door has like a bunch of different meanings, you know?
And Henry is asking him what he should do, what he should tell Belle, and Jimmy's like, just tell her Maury ran off with some girl. And there's this I have this note that Jimmy fucks with who I assume he thinks his like FBI tail is. I don't remember exactly what happens, but
Well, so
like
he
that.
knocks on the window there.
Yeah, that's
and then
right.
there's the guy who's like asleep in shotgun who almost
Yeah.
looks like the way they left Maury. I thought that was also like a really clever little callback because he looks like he's dead, but then he like wakes up, you know?
We have kids walking up and seeing two dead
Yeah.
bodies in the front seat of a pink Cadillac.
Yeah.
It's Johnny and his girl in their new wedding present car.
Really brutal.
And
It's
he's
like a montage of death.
yeah,
right
he's
here.
severing every tie with the robbery.
Yeah.
So you see Frenchie dead in a dump truck, and mentioning months after the robbery, they're finding bodies all over. There's a meat locker with Frankie Carbone hanging, and they say something about how he's so stiff it took him 2 days to thaw him out. And then we see Henry and Jimmy at the diner again.
Yeah, and he's like, I never saw Jimmy so happy,
Yeah, he looked like a kid.
which is wild and scary.
And
Jimmy's
what-
very scary.
Yeah, well, Jimmy was especially happy because today is the day that Tommy's getting made.
Yeah.
And they're both at the diner. They can't be there, you know. And this part is pretty good. You know, Tommy leaving his house, his mom saying, "Be careful," and you get the VO where we finally get the title of the movie, the sort of Family Guy moment where he says, "We always called each other Goodfellas," you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Wise guys. This is a good fella.
And we finally get the thing. You know, they can't be made because they're Irish. You know,
Yeah.
like Jimmy.
You have to be full Sicilian.
Full Sicilian to get made. And then we see Jimmy goes out to, well, the car pulls into the garage, Tommy getting out. Then this sort of parallel action of Jimmy going to a payphone while Henry stays in the diner. And then Tommy walks into the empty room. And I love that realization. He walks in, he goes, "Oh no," and gets fucking shot.
Yeah, because it's a very like plain. He was expecting like a lavish. I think this is supposed to be his new mansion that he's like upgrading into or something, right? And instead, it's
No,
just
I think it's supposed to be a group of
of like
like
him getting
a
welcomed.
bunch of like the heads of the different crews or
Yeah.
families or whatever there to greet him,
Yeah.
kiss him on the cheek, shake his hand.
Yeah.
There should be drinks. There should be food, probably. I don't think it was how the house was adorned. I think it was that there's literally no one there.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Oh no, getting shot. But also fuck Tommy. Like I hate that guy. Like it's funny because it's like the narrative is so hinged around him making it being the thing that kind of pulls Jimmy and Henry up, and I'm kind of like, good. Fuck these guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I love fucking Jimmy's reaction though on the payphone.
Yeah, he's talking to Vinny on the payphone.
And what they say to him, he's like, "Oh yeah, we tried everything we could, but there was nothing we could do."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "Oh,
Tommy's gone.
yeah, he's gone." And him just slamming and in his performance here, De Niro's just like the way he's sobbing, like felt so real to me.
I
Like,
love that he pushes the payphone over.
yeah, I thought it was just a really excellent, like for a movie where I'm not very emotionally attached to any of these people. I just thought it was like extremely well done and like added a very nice layer to Jimmy.
Yeah, no, it is great. Yeah, we see the blood spilling out of Tommy's head, and you have the sort of VO of it was revenge for Billy Bats, and that's it.
And a bunch of other things, he says.
Yeah,
Cause yeah, the Tommy is just like a bowl in a china shop basically, and like I think that's reflected.
I think
throughout the
it's
movie.
definitely. I think the reason it's called out specifically, it is almost because like the other things could have would be let slide if
Yeah,
it weren't
for
for the
Bats.
fact that he also did
Yeah,
that.
yeah, the straw that broke the camel's back for sure.
As was mentioned before, you know, Robert De Niro very emotional. We see Jimmy crying at the funeral. And you hear the thing about they shot him in the face so that the mom couldn't have an open casket,
Yeah.
which is this sort of very depressing cherry on like the whole Tommy
Right.
situation.
And like, yeah,
Because
especially
his mom
since
is definitely like a very like sympathetic character.
yes.
Right? She's very sweet. She's very nice. She's making them food,
Yeah.
and she's like, why don't you just find a nice girl, settle down?
Yeah, a nice twist because I don't think anyone in the audience is like, yeah, Tommy rocks, but they are like, oh, poor old lady,
I mean, Tommy is funny as fuck. Tommy's very entertaining as a
Yeah.
character in a
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
But
I was just
in the
always
context
tense
in the
anytime he's in
context
a
of a
scene, yeah.
film, yeah, I mean, this whole movie is pretty tense. I feel like.
Yeah, but you don't know who's gonna get shot or what horrible thing he's going to do that's going to bring everything crashing down.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure. But it might be funny like that. There's always that. There's always the promise of some comedic relief in conjunction with whatever he's doing. I think
right.
in order to soften how truly psychotic he is.
Yeah, for sure. I guess it kind of reminded me of slight spoilers for Bronx Tales, but the who dies at the end of that movie, like I felt relief after that. Like I feel that kind of relief here with Tommy.
Yeah, they're not anywhere near as funny as Tommy though. I'm just like, yeah, I was definitely like more like Good Riddance. Also, A Bronx Tale, you are set like watching it happen with your own morality at play because they're like
you
are
have, like,
encouraging
Lorenzo,
that because like it is this question about being at like this like crossroads between a legitimate life or like pursuing these like this sort of like fame and fortune, whereas in this movie you're just fully in the context of like illicit activity and like you're surrounded by like murderers and like thieves, right?
Yeah, I mean, when he died, I just thought of him shooting Spider so callously and then laughing about it. I'm like, yeah, I no tears for this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad because it was their friend, and like I do just the way it's done, I really like that scene. So good.
Yeah.
Just like the opening of the door, he's so excited, and Joe Pesci, amazing
Kills it,
performance throughout this whole film.
Yeah.
But the way he like just like his face like drops and he goes, "Oh no." Great moment. Also just the fact that he like doesn't cower, he doesn't say, please don't kill me." He just like immediately accepts like, "Yep, this is what's happening."
Yep.
Now it's May 11th, 1980. It's a Sunday, 6:55 a.m. Henry's doing coke at 6:55 in the morning.
This whole act, amazing. Like best part of the movie, I think.
Yeah, this part is wild.
It's just the tension of it, the way it moves along, all the moving pieces, the inner monologue. It's
so anxiety provoking.
Yes, but it's like this heightened tension that's all leading towards this, and it has this drug undertone of like Henry being so coked out and how fast he's talking, all the things moving through his head as like all the things I need to do today. So many of them are mundane, but there's this layer of threat weighing down on everything. It's really, really, really good.
Yeah, he's grabbing some guns and he's leaving his place. He notices a helicopter overhead as he's leaving. In the VO, he's talking about how he's got to drop off some guns to Jimmy to match some silencers. He's got to pick up his brother Michael from the hospital and have him at the house for dinner that night. And he has to pick up Pittsburgh stuff for Lois to fly to new customers in Atlanta.
Yep.
We see Jimmy doesn't want the silencers because they don't fit.
Or it's the guns he doesn't want.
Yeah, he doesn't want the guns. Sorry, he doesn't want the guns because they don't fit the silencers.
And his voiceover here just being like he knew he wasn't gonna want the guns, but in like the way he's just like, get the fuck out of here, and he's like not saying anything. He like everything was just went down exactly how he thought it would go, but he doesn't care and he's so used to it.
And then Jimmy does say, "Stop with those drugs, making your mind into mush."
Yeah, which is true.
It's 8:05 a.m. He's talking about how, you know what, the Pittsburgh guys will probably want the guns, so he'll probably get his money back. And you see him like looking out the front windshield, like staring at that helicopter that he thinks is following him.
Yeah.
Almost crashes in the car in front of him.
There's this theme of paranoia here really like being represented by the helicopter, even though it absolutely is following him around all day. I just think it adds such a layer of tension.
Yeah, and I love it. He goes to pick up Michael at 8:45 from the hospital, and he says the doctor wants to put him in a bed. And it's so fucking funny. The doctor is the guy from The Wire,
Oh, I thought I recognized him. That's
good. And he says that the doctor checks him out, takes mercy on him, and gives him 10 milligrams of Valium and sends him home. Wild. So just, let's mix the uppers and the downers. Why not? Drops Michael off at the house. He picks up Karen. Well, that's what he says he has to do. And then Henry is pointing out the helicopter to like Michael,
Yeah.
and you just see Michael obviously sort of like thinking like, okay, dude,
You've lost your mind.
whatever
Yeah.
you say,
You're,
man.
you're paranoid. Yeah.
It's wild to think like of what Michael's perception of everything is, right?
Yeah.
Like his older brother just like turning into this insane, coked out fucking gangster, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Really wild. And yeah, I love the whole like I think the like him trying to prep his brother's favorite dish throughout the day is like the reflection of the sympathetic side of Henry, where he's like, "This is my family. I'm gonna take care of them,"
Yeah.
you know, and he's like going so hard on like make sure you stir the sauce and all that. Like he wants everything to be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
I also just find his personality so interesting during this day because every other time we're seeing his moves are all spread out over a period of time, but you can really see, and maybe part of this is just like, you know, his coke addiction, but just like how many things he has like juggling at one time and how under control it all is besides, you know,
Yeah.
the feds coming for him.
Yeah, for sure. They don't see the helicopter, so he heads out to Karen's mom's. Hank drops off the guns in the trash can of Karen's mom's house.
And she's like, oh, and it couldn't have been your mother's place, right? It had to be, it had to be my mother.
And then they don't see any helicopters again, and they leave. You see Henry on the phone at the store. It's 12:30. He's talking to someone about the helicopters.
Yeah, and it's just like going through all sorts of songs. I think we start with Layla, or maybe Layla came before, and now we're on the Rolling Stones. I forget which track, but and then right after this we get George Harrison. What is my life? Like it's just jumping between
Yeah.
all these different tone setters that are really effective.
He's at the store. They're leaving the store at 1:30. They go pick up the guns again. It's 3:30. He goes to leave the guns and get the coke from the Pittsburgh people. And then you see Karen is also like, you know, she's dipping her finger as well. You know, she's like, I need a hit from the Pittsburgh people. So they give her a little bit of coke. And then Henry is the next thing he has to do is he has to go home to get ready for Lois's trip, but he also has to get the package to Sandy so that she can give it a hit with quinine. He also has to go home, finish cooking, and then I love how he calls to check on Lois and the sauce. Very good.
Yeah.
And then you said at this point we have George Harrison playing, and he also says he needs Lois to make a call, but not to do it from the house.
Yeah, I love how she's just giving him so much lip, just like, yeah, I know what to do.
And then she gets lazy and makes the call from the house.
But I think it's too late at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe they wouldn't have jumped on him because they might have been waiting for the moment where he has all the drugs on him and stuff. But I don't think he does have it when they're going to get the lucky hat. So I think they're gonna get him no matter what he did.
Yeah. It's 6:30. As soon as he gets home, he starts cooking. Then he has to go, so he leaves the gravy in Michael's hands. It's 8:30. He's got to mix the stuff at Sandy's. Then back at 10:45, dinner at the table.
And he does more blow at Sandy's, and I think it's also hinted that they also like hooked up there as well.
Yeah, probably.
So.
Yeah.
Just another day in the life.
Yeah. And then Lois says she's got to go get her hat. It's her lucky hat. She won't fly without it.
It's so ridiculous. I love how deadpan she is about it. I don't care. I'm gonna get my hat. It's my lucky hat.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Welker White, the name of the actor, very funny.
Yeah, she kills it.
Good little role, you know. So they're driving to get the hat. He gets stopped by the cops.
Yeah, and the gun to his head, and he's like, "I thought I was dead."
Yeah, he said he thought maybe they were wise guys, but then he wouldn't have heard anything.
Yep.
And I love the cut to Karen immediately. Like this is, I think, the part of it that I've always remembered, her freaking out, and flushing all the drugs and putting the like gun in her like panties.
Yeah, for some reason, yeah, that's I guess probably because this is kind of the climax, right? Like
it's also just like very funny, like the way that she's just and like so tense, and just the way that she's ripping open the huge pack of coke.
Yeah. And then we get a title card, The Aftermath.
Yeah.
And this is a great little scene of him being interrogated. The cops just giving him so much shit. And then you see in the background Lois coming in handcuffs. And then like gets more shit. Then you see Sandy brought in handcuffs, which follows with the big like box of all the stuff from Sandy's place. And the way the cop like just like tastes a little bit of the coke at the bottom of the cup, and his face turns into a big smile. And the other cop is like, well, goodbye, Henry, or whatever he says.
Well, he says, is it good? And the guy says, bye-bye, dickhead.
Bye-bye, dickhead.
See you in Attica, dick, which is Attica's a prison.
Yeah, I thought just a very well executed scene with little dialogue, but like everything being told to you.
Henry's in jail. He's talking to Karen. Karen's talking about how Jimmy has offered to give her some money, but he wants to know what's happening. And Henry says, "Fuck Jimmy. I need to like go to Paulie and straighten everything out with him."
Yeah, and so he's like basically saying they're gonna kill me in here. And so her Karen's mother puts her house up to
For bail, yeah.
yeah, to get him out on bail.
And Henry's freaking out because he doesn't want Paulie to find out that he was selling drugs,
Yeah.
and also that Jimmy was involved. And there's the line here: "This was the bad time."
Yeah, and I also just like this rising tension of his voiceover talking about how he thought he was going to get whacked just like walking out of the prison.
Yeah.
Like he's just waiting to die at this point. And I think he's right. I think Jimmy is ready to kill him,
Yeah, for sure.
as we find out soon.
I love Henry goes home immediately looking for the drugs, and Karen's like, "I flushed it, $60,000."
Yeah.
And Henry's so pissed. And this is a very like sweet little moment where
Yeah.
he's like crying in the corner, and she goes to like comfort him.
Yeah.
And then he like wakes up holding Karen with like a gun in his hand.
Yeah. Yeah, the probably the most I felt the relationship is them both like sobbing in the corner together as their life falls apart.
And this next part, the very heartbreaking,
Yeah.
Henry showing up saying, I'm clean. And Paulie's like, "You looked me in the fucking eyes and you lied to me." And
Treat him like a jerk. That's come up a couple times throughout these movies. Just like treating your boss like a jerk is a big no-no.
Yeah.
No respect.
and it's like so tragic. $3,200. That's what he gives him. And then he has to turn his back on it.
Yeah, and he tells Polly like, "You're all I got. You're all I can turn
Yeah.
to." But yeah, he's like, everything I did, like my whole life, amounted to that $3,200. Not even enough for a coffin. He says, "I love that."
Yeah.
Oh, and Polly's like, "Now I got to turn my back on you."
Yeah.
Good shit.
Henry tells Karen that they got to get out. We see this scene of Karen dropping some stuff off and talking to Jimmy.
Yeah, well, she's like, she just thinks he's paranoid. She's like,
Yes,
you're
that-
right. You're
yeah.
just doing too many drugs.
You're doing too much coke.
Followed up by this scene.
Yeah, Jimmy's asking about Henry. He gives Karen some money and offers her some dresses, and then tells her like points to where they are, and you
Such a
can
tense
totally
scene,
tell
yeah.
like, oh, he's trying to like kill her.
Yeah.
It's right there in the story, and then I love how like quick she is, like no, and she just fucking peels out.
Yeah.
And then again, the scene ending with Jimmy looking stressed, right, trying to bring all the like loose ends together.
Yes. Yeah, well, she's crying when she gets back, and
Yeah.
I love the way she acts this scene. Like I was just scared, and yeah, I like the voiceover line too, where he's like, "Murderers come with smiles."
Yeah.
Because yeah,
He says if you're part of a crew, nobody ever tells you they're going to kill you. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen that way. And this is another scene I always remember.
I think this is like a really iconic
The
shot
diner
in
scene.
cinema. Yeah, with because you have, is that rear view projection? What would you call that? But it's like zooming in the background, so you
No,
see.
it's not rear view production. It's called it's like a Jaws shot.
Okay, yeah, because the background is moving closer, but the diner's staying in the same spot. Or
It's
the table.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's the shot where you're you're moving in while changing the like zoom of the lens, which gives the which is giving you more of like less of the background, because it like the shot is, I'm doing it with my hands, but it's this. I'm pretty sure it's the same shot that he does on the beach with Jaws.
Right.
But he mentions how he gets there, Jimmy's already there. He had gotten there 15 minutes early. Jimmy's trying to sense if Henry's going to rat on him. And you see Jimmy telling him that there's some kid who's trying to rat them all out. And there's a mention about how he like never ever asked
Yeah.
Henry to like do a hit for him, but he wants him to go down to Florida with this guy, Anthony. And that's when he knew he would never come back alive from Florida.
Yeah.
And the next scene is Henry trying to work out being an informant, basically.
Yeah, this is a great scene. I like how he's like, I don't want to go anywhere cold. And Karen's like, he's bronchial. And the cop's like, okay, well, if he's legitimately bronchial, then yeah, maybe
Yeah.
we'll take that into consideration.
But just like how like entitled they feel even at this point, where they're like, this is their last sort of like resource to prevent being like killed, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you see there's like an insert shot of Jimmy getting let out in cuffs. They go back to Karen and Henry negotiating, then cut to another shot of Paulie getting arrested.
Yeah.
Then we're in court. They're on the stand, and he points out Jimmy Conway and Paul Cicero. And then, yeah, we have Henry talking about how much he was going to miss the lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I feel like the weight of that's given to Henry pointing at Jimmy
Yeah.
and Polly is so good because his point is like, especially at the first one when he points out Jimmy, he like barely lifts his hand and like doesn't want to make eye contact, but then the way it just holds on Jimmy and then
Yeah.
again holds on Polly, the betrayal, I love it.
And this part's also, I think, iconic. Him walking off
Yeah.
the witness stand, talking straight to like the fucking camera.
Yeah, breaking the fourth wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
And the hardest part, suburbia, egg noodles, and ketchup. He has to live the rest of his life like a schnook.
I have to wait around like everyone else.
He goes out to get the paper, and then I think the last shot is Tommy shooting at the camera.
Yeah, it's him shooting a couple times, and then it goes back to Henry, and then he goes inside the house. And I thought that was interesting. Was that him shooting the guy in the trunk, or was that
I
just...
think it was, yeah.
Okay, yeah, just I guess that's kind of what led to all of this because they didn't have a maid guy protecting them anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I guess no. Tommy stabs the guy in the
Oh,
trunk.
you're right. Yeah.
Maybe it was Jimmy. I don't know if I fucked up my
No, I
notes.
think it was Tommy, but yeah, I don't
Probably
know.
just like it. Just
I thought
him,
that was
like,
kind of random.
just him remembering like, my violent friend.
Ah, what a guy. What a buddy.
Yeah, and then we get all the post-mortem on all the gangsters.
Yeah, I do love like the credits with the just reminding you this actually happened, and I thought it was interesting that Karen and Henry split up a few years later. I think like 2 years after they went into witness protection.
Yeah.
And I think that who knows how well, if you've read the book and looked into it, I'm sure you know better than me, but not knowing how close this is to the real life story, I do find it fascinating that Karen would not be as interested in Henry anymore without his power, because that was like the core of the attraction.
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely.
We see that Polly died in prison, and
Yeah.
as of the making of the movie, Jimmy was serving 20 to life.
Yeah. So he in 1987 he was convicted of cocaine trafficking in a federal court in Seattle and expelled from the witness protection program.
Oh shit.
In 1990, they filed for divorce, and the divorce was finalized in 2002.
Damn.
And then he was arrested in Nebraska for having drug paraphernalia on his in his luggage. And on September 26, 2005, he was sentenced to 180 days for attempted methamphetamine possession. So it seems like, and then later on, there's something about public intoxication. So it seems like afterwards, he just, and a note about a drinking problem as well. So it sounds like afterwards, he just like struggled with drugs for like the rest of his life.
Yeah, I think probably struggled with mundane life as well,
Yeah, absolutely. He, I guess, died of complications related to heart disease on June 12th, 2012, a day after his birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he died at 69. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's
Goodfellas.
Hank Hill. That's fucking Hank Hill, sorry. That's why I kept calling him Hank. That's Henry Hill. That's fucking Goodfellas. That's been Mobster month.
Yeah.
Next month is December. We're watching Christmas movies all month. We're going to start with Home Alone, and then we're going to do It's a Wonderful Life, and then we're going to do The Grinch. We're also going to do the one with the Island of the Misfit Toys as well. And that's it. All right, goodbye.
Yeah, well, first, what's your rating for this bad boy?
I'm going to give it an A. I think the pacing, the editing, the filming, the acting, all of that is really good. But again, there's very little like emotional core to it.
Yeah.
This feels like an A ceiling tone. I mean, I think it's a tone that you're not gonna get an S tier from me on this. Like it's just it's lacking it's lacking that sort of like real moving me like
yeah.
I mean, again, there's a lot of like examinations of other things like paranoia and stuff. But I would say a strong A.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on mine. I was thinking B for most of the movie. That final act, that's just that day, is so well done that I kind of want to bring it up to an A. But yeah, like kind of what you're saying, to me, it lacks the heart of something like A Bronx Tale, while lacking also just like the intense political intrigue of something like The Godfather or Miller's Crossing. So I think I'm actually gonna leave it at a B. I do think it's brilliantly done for what it is, but I find it mostly just very entertaining versus like something that like speaks to me like in an artful way. But I think just how well it's done, makes it at least a B.
Word. Very fair. Very fair. There's also another movie called My Blue Heaven, which is a comedy film with written by Nora Ephron, starring Steve Martin, Rick Moranis, and John Cusack. That's also based on this. And Nora Ephron is Pileggi's wife, the guy who wrote Wise Guy. So very interesting that there's another like fucking adaptation
Oh
of this.
yeah, I didn't
That's
know
like
that.
a full like sort of straight ahead comedy.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean that was Goodfellas. That was Mobster Month.
Yeah, any final thoughts on Mobster Month?
Um, I think it's cool. It's interesting how it works as this like backdrop and examination of like power a lot of
Yeah.
times, and the social commentary that it provides.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked one maybe where it was more sort of like taking you through how these groups sort of form and
Mm.
what they're like what they're. I think again, a Bronx Tale probably does the best job of showing like how they function like day to day. But yeah, just sort of maybe a little bit more on that. And that's not like like not a failing of any of the movies. It's just like something that I'm curious about
Yeah.
or something I would have liked to see in one of the movies because it would have been a good one to sort of like take you through like this is how this sort of like happens. This is how these like, you know, hardworking honest men turn to like crime.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think very cool just to see the variety, like
Yeah.
the kinds of stories you can tell, like that a mobster movie isn't really just. I think you picture Goodfellas a lot of times,
Yeah.
but it is really so much more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the standout theme for me from our six themes was the moral code. Just because I thought it was such a fascinating lens to look at like a character study angle of all these people and how they think and how they function and what their morality is. What is your morality when you don't have like society's kind of moral standard being your backbone, but they find their own kind of more moral backbone. And of course, the corruption of the soul, the power, the pride, a lot of really interesting concepts to play around with. I also really enjoyed just kind of seeing the different levels of the mafia, like we talked about, like the Godfather feeling like more of like the royal family, and then like kind of I would say Goodfellas kind of similar power structure is something like Miller's Crossing, where it feels like they're almost like CEO level kind of business operators. And then yeah, like we said, kind of the ma and pa shop vibe of the Bronx Tale. Kind of fun to see these kind of different level of lenses examining it.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So next month we don't have a category. We're not bringing the wheel back, and we're not spinning it again. But we are gonna still watch a movie. There will be an episode next Friday. Also, this episode dropping on the day after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a good time. I know that the origins of Thanksgiving are definitely, really tragic, really fucked up sort of like circumstances. But my birthday is around this time. And I also just a time to sit down, have dinner with your family. If you have a good relationship with your family, taking that time aside, like having time off, I think I really appreciate that aspect of it. So I hope everyone had a nice dinner. I hope everyone had a good time. Maybe
Yeah.
you listen to this episode eating some leftovers,
Yeah, I mean it's all about the family when it comes to the mob. So spend time with your family. That's what we
Yeah.
learned this month.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, don't be out till whatever. Or I mean, if you don't have a good relationship with your family, whatever. But I hope everyone had a lovely little meal. If you're outside the U.S., then I hope you had a good fucking Thursday. And welcome to Friday. It is November 28th. Tomorrow will be my birthday. So
Hell yeah.
while you're listening to it, I don't know, just maybe think about that. Maybe drop your birthday in the comments. Drop your birthday in the comments. But yeah, next week, what are we gonna do?
We're doing some of my all-time favorite movies for the month of December. We've been super excited about it all year. We're doing the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, there is no category, so it is maybe just gonna be more of a. I think we're going to kind of feel out exactly what the episodes are going to be like, but it is going to be, I think, more of a, yeah, I mean, we'll see what it goes like, but it'll be less of like talking about the Lord of the Rings in the context of something and more just talking about the Lord of the Rings. I I think also just mostly probably we'll probably get into like some Silmarillion stuff, some lore stuff, but for the most part, just kind of taking her play by play, talking about yeah, the Lord of the Rings. Starting of course with the Fellowship of the Ring.
That's right.
That's the first one. The second one is the Two Towers, and then the third one is Return of the King. As you will notice, there is no fourth movie slot, and that is because our hope is to put together something for y'all to listen to. It is more. I'm not sure about the logistics of it. We'll figure it out. We'll figure everything out. But it'll be a draft of next year's sort of board. Like, what are the available categories that we can spin on, and what are the movies that are going to be placed in there?
Yeah, very excited for that. That'll because we had a fun time just putting the list together in the categories by ourselves, so it'd be really fun to make an episode of it.
Yeah, I think so too. I also think like the first time we did it, we were just like chatting and trying to like think of what were good things for conversation. But now I love the idea of it's going to be a draft sort of setup, and I like the idea of being kind of silly, maybe like making some meme choices and then having to live with like the consequences of that. And also just the fact that like a slot comes down to like a single person deciding, I want this movie in here.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to try and have, I think, one or two people on for that just to make it a little bit easier to like place all the movies, but it should be pretty fun. I know we've gotten some suggestions from people for categories and for like movies, but feel free to like drop those. You can email us, cinemaforecast@gmail.com, or you can, leave them in the comments, leave them in the Spotify comments, leave it in the Apple Podcast review. Actually, speaking of which, I'm gonna give you just a little bit of a quick little detour. I'm gonna see if we have any new reviews. I doubt we do, so we'll probably just cut this out. But give me just 1 second. Oh, I see two.
Oh. Like 2 new ones or just 2 total?
2 total ratings. Somebody else gave us 5 stars but didn't leave a review. That's okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, like I said, leave your suggestions everywhere. We appreciate y'all listening. It's pretty crazy that we're getting to December already.
Yeah.
By the time we get to February, I believe will be our sort of 1 year anniversary of doing this.
That's
Pretty
right.
wild. But yeah, very exciting. Very exciting.
I'm super excited. I think December is going to be a really fun month.
Yeah, next episode is episode 44. That is 2 4s.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very exciting. I was thinking about like it'll be really exciting when we get to episode what was I thinking? I think it's episode 256 is going to be 4 to the 4th power.
Oh, hell yeah.
That'll be sick. If that ever happens, we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate y'all. Hopefully you enjoyed Mobster Movie Month. As we like to say, call your mom, tell her you love her, tell your friends you love them, have platonic kisses and touches with your friends. Don't get caught up in crime.
Yeah.
Don't do too much cocaine.
Yeah, that'll get you.
Test your drugs if you're gonna do drugs, but preferably don't do drugs. Yeah, that's it. That's it for this month. Happy November, everybody.
And we'll see you in
December.
the forecast.
In the Shire.
In the Shire.
But then we'll leave the Shire.
And go on a big old grand adventure.
And then eventually we'll come back.
with you, the audience. There and back again.
Rosie.